football. It has its ups and downs. There's the players who kiss the badge and kiss the club goodbye, right after you've splashed out £100 to get their name on your kit. And the A-list striker who always sticks it in row Z. The good news is the Ladbrokes ACCA gives you auto insurance, free bets back and big odds boosts. So whatever else lets you down, it won't be your ACCA. It's a gaffer of an ACCA from Ladbrokes.
18 plus, online and mobile. Minimum odds apply. Maximum 1 to 3 £10 free bets per customer per day. Up to £50 of boosted odds. Restrictions and T&Cs apply. BeGambleAware.org. Take time to think.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lookers Group. Extra 12 months warranty and RAC breakdown cover on every used vehicle. Terms and conditions and exclusions apply. The fastest goals. The expert opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
What a start to this 6-game Sunday in the Scottish Premiership here on Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Rangers were 2-0 up. Hibs pegged them back to 2-2. Rangers took a 3-2 lead and Hibs equalised again. A share of the spoils and brought back down to earth for the Rangers fans after the highs of Ibrox on Thursday. That's just the beginning. We've got huge games. We've actually got Motherwell and Aberdeen to come first. So let's actually do that. Let's go there first. We're going to go to Celtic Park in a second for team news. But Fraser Wishart, you're a 2:30 kick-off, which is strange, but nevertheless we move on. And what are you expecting there?
Yeah, you're right, Gordon. It's a bit strange, a 2:30 kick-off here, but two sides that I think could really do with a result. You only have to go back to mid-November. Aberdeen were in first place in the table after a great start to the season, and Motherwell in fifth with the same points as Rangers, who were in third. But since the 23rd of November, both sides have had a really poor run of form. Motherwell with just 1 win and 2 draws in 8, and Aberdeen with 3 draws and 6 defeats in their 9. So after a poor start to 2025 on Thursday, both managers really will be looking for a reaction. I saw Motherwell lose 1-0 at Tynecastle. Really unlike Motherwell performance, very passive, no aggression, no energy. They played poorly, while Aberdeen's loss against lowly Ross County at home and perhaps set alarm bells ringing amongst their supporters.
Gordon Dalziel's not paid the electricity meter.
You'd think PFA Scotland would take care of that, wouldn't you?
Let's go to Celtic Park. What's the team lineup looking like there, Gabriel? Because Celtic now need to respond. It's all well and good they'll be turning up and having a chuckle at Rangers dropping points, but it only counts if they get back to winning ways.
Yeah, good afternoon from Parkhead, Gordon, where instead of a slightly sombre atmosphere, fans are arriving here with a smile on their faces again due to Rangers dropping points at Easter Road. Now, despite their worst performance of the campaign at Ibrox, there is no need to panic. They've now got that chance to establish a 13-point gap and extinguish the threat of Rangers breathing life into a title challenge. Brendan Rodgers makes 4 changes after being resoundingly beaten by their great rivals a few days ago. Scales, Bernardo, Hatate and Kyogo are all dropped there on the bench. Trusty, McCowan, Engels and Ida are all in. So the team is Kasper Schmeichel in goal, Alistair Johnston, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Austin Trusty and Greg Taylor as the back 4. Callum McGregor, Arne Engels and Luke McCowan the midfield 3. Nicholas Kuhn and Dyson Maeda are out wide with Adam Ida through the middle. The subs are Sinisalo, Scales, Palmer, Kyogo, Baye, Yang, Bernardo, Hatate and Ralston. Well, it's been a strange festive period for Stephen Robinson's men as well. 3 wins in a row culminated in that famous last-minute victory over Rangers on Boxing Day, with the team up to 5th and primed to kick on into 2025. But 2 disappointing defeats since then to Dundee and Kilmarnock mean they remain in the top half, but much less secure than before. And you can see that in Robinson's team selection. He's made 5 changes from a couple of days ago. Goalkeeper Ellery Balcom has been recalled by Brentford, so he's left the club, which sees the return of Zach Hemming from Middlesbrough. He comes straight in to the starting lineup alongside the returning Mark O'Hara, Boyd Muntz, Kilty and Bunamono. Yakoviti, Smith, Ido and Ayunga drop to the bench. So it looks like it'll be a 3-5-2 formation for the visitors today. Zach Hemming in goal, Marcus Fraser, Alex Gogic and Richard Taylor the back 3. Elvis Bumono and Scott Tans are the wing backs, with Killian Phillips, Mark O'Hara and Caelan Boyd Muntz in the middle, and Greg Kilty will play just off Tiosi Olasanya. Substitutes: Aminski, Yakoviti, John, Smith, Dowu, Ayunga, Mooney, Mandron, Oseni. The referee will be Grant Irvin and Andrew Dallas is the VAR.
Well, Mark, where would you like to start?
Well, I'm not surprised with the 4 changes at all. I think we discussed Liam Scales and Trusty and the situation there, so not surprised that he's come in to partner Carter Vickers at the back. The full-backs stay the same. And again, not surprised at the midfield. I think when you looked at Hatate and Bernardo, they were way off it on Thursday. So if you've got quality like you have in Engels and McCowan on the bench, then these are the games you bring them in. And about rotation as well, of course, but to remind Titati and Bernardo, you're at a club that there's serious competition here. If you don't perform, your place will be taken. And up front, well, it's been much of the case this season. Ida will come into games like this. It's up to him now to take his chance. Keel's always going to be the number one striker, but when Ida gets his opportunity, then he has to take it, and it's all about those same wide guys creating the same chances for him as they have done Kyogo this year. So not surprised, 4 changes. Don't think it weakens the squad at all.
To be honest with you, Mark, I know what you're saying. You can look at Thursday. I think even if Rangers had went to Ibrox on Thursday and won, I think there would have been 3 or 4 changes. I think that's how strong a squad he's got, right? He's got to rotate. You know that he always looks at the next game as much as concentrating the present one. So it's good. I think the Celtic fans are delighted, and especially the guy that sings the song about Hugh that McCown's in. He's obviously listened to the song. McGregor and Ingles in there in the middle of the park, Ida up front. There's not any big surprises. The one, obviously, I think because of his performance and coming under a lot of pressure, was that straight swap with Trusty and Scales for me.
Well, Trusty hasn't been seen since the first half of the Premier Sports Cup final against Rangers, when he was so suspect that Brendan Rodgers removed him and didn't even trust him to come on the park against Rangers, even though Liam Scales was having a nightmare at Ibrox. But the fans have turned on Scales, and I think the manager has said to Trusty, you go out there and show why we paid £6 million for you. In the middle of the park, Engels, the only noticeable thing about him at Ibrox, regrettably, was a fan hitting him with a coin. So he has to go out there and show his worth. McCowan likewise. McCowan slept at Rangers' third goal. So although he's a Celtic fan from birth, that on its own doesn't entitle you to a game. So he has to show his worth. Up front, I'm surprised at Ida getting a game, I have to be honest, because I thought he played at Ibrox and did absolutely nothing. And I would always go Kyogo first of all. But he again has a chance to redeem himself in the eyes of the supporters. It's a Celtic team that obviously ought to be good enough to beat St Mirren, given the boost that they have received psychologically. I'm not surprised. With Rangers drawing 3-3.
I'm not surprised, Hugh. I disagree with you a little bit with Ida. I don't think he did particularly well. I don't put it this way. I don't think anybody apart from Carter Vickers looked half decent. But Kyogo, their argument's quite simple. Done absolutely nothing when he was on the pitch. I agree if he's playing his strongest team, Kyogo's in it, because I think he's a bit. But you've signed him for 9. You've got to start playing him. Signed him for 9 million. He's a good player, and Brendan Rodgers obviously thinks very highly of him. I keep going back to it. I think you get carried away with, they get beat on Thursday, so he's got to make all these changes. McCown come on the pitch and wasn't particularly good. I always think he's got teams in mind. With the squad and the talent he's got, 4 changes is not massive for him.
Not especially when these guys generally have started a lot of games anyway.
100%.
As for St Mirren, Mark, what a run. I mean, near the start of November, 1-2, then they lost 2, then they won 3, now they've lost 2. I mean, that 3-game win in the middle included the Rangers win on Boxing Day, of course, so who knows? I mean, it'll drive a manager crazy, that sort of stuff. You always hear about managers crying out for consistency. They've not got that, but look, Stephen Robinson's a very good manager. What they've got is a team who are well capable every season of finishing that top 6 now. It'll just frustrate them that they can't, challenge that third spot with any great strength. But they're a team that are, if they play the game right, they're hard to break down. The loss of the goalkeeper's a huge one for them, though, at the back. Set pieces, they'll be a threat. They are a big physical side. So I don't think Celtic will get this all their own way today. Much like we've seen Hibs, if the ball goes into the opposition box, I think St Mirren can cause you problems. Okay, looking forward to that one. We know Celtic fans will be heading along with the opportunity to see the team go even further ahead now in the league. Rangers have got a point at Easter Road, but a home game against St Mirren comes with high expectations. Can St Mirren cause a shock in the east end of Glasgow? We've got a game in just about 20 minutes time. Let's get the Flavour of what's going on at Fir Park and the teams from Fraser.
Two sides that could really do with a result here today at Fir Park. You only need to look back to mid-November. International break, Aberdeen in first place in the table after a great start to the season, and Motherwell in 5th but with the same points as Rangers in 3rd. But since the 23rd of November, both sides however have had a pretty poor run of form. Motherwell 1 win, 2 draws and 5 defeats in 8, Aberdeen 3 draws and 6 defeats in 9. And after a poor start to 2025 on Thursday, both managers will be looking for reactions from their sides today. I saw Motherwell lose 1-0 at Tynecastle, a very unlike Motherwell performance, very passive, lacked in aggression, lacked in energy, and they played pretty poorly. When Aberdeen's loss at home to lowly Ross County will have sent alarm bells ringing amongst their supporters. Will of course have to do with the injured captain Lennon Miller the next couple of months, but at least they're getting some of their key players back from injury. They might look to add a couple of loans in the January window. Jimmy Tellin, the other, had this chopped and changed his team, he's chopped and changed his formation in an effort to get a win. The goals have dried up a little. They haven't scored more than 1 goal in a game since the 3-3 draw against Hibs at Easter Road in November. I'm really hoping injury to Esther Soccer isn't too serious, but he doesn't make it today, replaced by Kevin Nisbet. Like some McGrath and Clarkston, they dropped to the bench. They're integrated players, and also Keskinen. They've all got the ability, but they need to show a bit more in an attacking sense. They've actually gone with a more solid midfield 3 today. For Motherwell, the team selections: out go O'Donnell, Blaney and Payton. And 3 changes: in come Caletta, Balmer and Ibi. 3-4-2-1 formation for them. Aston Oxborough in goals, Dan Casey, Liam Gordon, Kofi Balmer at the back, Marlon Caletta, Davor Dravkovsky, Andy Halliday and Ewan Wilson across the middle, with Tony Watt and Tawanda Maswanise behind the lone striker Moses Ibi. The substitutes are Motherwell: Christian Heggie, Stephen O'Donnell, Tom Sparrow, Callum Slattery, Paul McGinn, Sam Nicholson, Shane Blaney and John Contrumbus and Jack Vale. 4 changes for Motherwell: Clarkson and McGrath dropped to the bench, Sockler and Malloy are out injured, in come Nielsen, Palaversa and Rubizic after suspension, and also Kevin Nisbet is recalled to the starting lineup. They go 4-3-3, Ross Doohan in goals, Nicky Devlin, Slobodan Rubizic, Angus MacDonald and Jack McKenzie across the back, Siebert Nielsen, Antti Palaversa and Graham Shinnie in midfield, Toppy Keskinen and Duke either side of Kevin Nisbet. The subs for Aberdeen: Tom Ritchie, Jim McGrath, Dante Polvara, Leighton Clarkson, James McGarry, Shayden Morris, Fletcher Boyd, Peter Ambrose and Victor Enham. And the referee today at Fir Park is Nick Walsh, and the VAR is Gavin Duncan.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. Should be a cracker. That's a 2:30 kick-off, remember, at Fir Park. Let's go for Kilmarnock Ross County then, and get some teams there from David Friel.
County are chasing a bit of history here today at Rugby Park. Doncaster's side have won 2 successful away games, and if they make it 3 here, it will actually be a club record in the top flight. That's quite remarkable, given they'd gone 15 months without an away win until beating Dundee on Boxing Day. They then followed that up by beating Aberdeen at Pittodrie, with that last gasp draw against Hearts in between. County still sit 10th. They're still in a bit of trouble, but they've hit form and can overtake Kilmarnock with a win today. But Derek McKinney's side have also hit their stride at home with 3 wins on the bounce at Rugby Park. They've beaten Hearts, Aberdeen and St Mirren without even conceding a goal, and clearly want another 3 points here today. Derek McInnes is without his captain Kyle Vassell today. He went off injured against St Mirren. Kelly hope it's not long term, but he isn't available for this game. Bruce Anderson continues up front, and he's now second top in the Premiership scoring charts with 8 goals, and he also loves a goal against Ross County with 7 in his career so far. Kelly welcomed back Danny Armstrong from suspension, with Bobby Wales dropping out, and as Cameron comes in for Vassell up front. County make just one change. George Harman is in for Michi Affetti at left wing back. I'll just run through the team. So you Kelly going to line up Robbie McCrory in goals, Lewis Mayo, Joe Wright, Corey and Daba at the back. Fraser Murray and Danny Armstrong will be on the wings, with Brad Lyons, David Watson and Liam Polworth in midfield. Liam Donnelly in midfield, with Bruce Anderson and Innes Cameron up front. Subs for Killer: O'Hara, Burrows, Dees, GMS, McGuinness, Watkins, Wales, Brown and Bainbridge. As for Ross County, just that one change. I said Harman in at left wing back. Jordan Misa is in goals. Back 3 of Akil Wright, Casper Lapata and Ryan Leake. James Brown, Noah Kenny, Conor Randall, Josh Nisbet and George Harman across the middle, with Noah Chilvers in behind Jordan White. Subs for County are Hamilton, Allardyce, Laturi, Hale, Sheaf, Telfer, Brophy, Jaden Reid and Josh Reid. The referee at Rugby Park is Stephen McLean, and the VAR is Greg Aitken.
Well, Dundee United are the third force in Scottish football as things stand. What a season they're having, and they now welcome struggling Hearts to Tannadice. Here's Dave Galloway.
Dundee United on a roll, Gordon, as their Premiership return goes from strength to strength. 3 wins in a row has seen them overtake an imploding Aberdeen for third place. Boss Jim Goodwin says it's still all about staying in the top flight, but nobody's fooled by that. Surely the Tangerines can now push for European football and then see where it takes them. Momentum is certainly very much with them, and they'll fancy their chances of making it 4 successive victories today. Second bottom Hearts have never got going in a troubled campaign, and we're still waiting for them to come good and start climbing the league. Neil Critchley is challenging his men to make it back-to-back Premiership wins for the first time, amazingly, since April, as the team's lack of consistency keeps them well and truly in the danger zone. They also have to stop shooting themselves in the foot, don't they, as they did at Ross County, when a good performance overall was undone by conceding goals in the 97th and 99th minutes for a 2-2 draw. Looking at the teams then, and Dundee United make 3 changes. It's O'Dada, Thompson and Gallagher in for Doherty, Middleton and Trapanovsky. Jack Walton in goals, a back 3 by the looks of things: Emmanuel Adegboyega, Declan Gallagher and Kevin Holt. Then it's Ryan Strain and Will Ferry, the wing backs, with Richard O'Dada, Lucas Stevenson and Miller Thompson in the middle of midfield, with Sam Dalby up front. He just can't stop scoring, can he? The subs for United: Richards, Graham, Trapanovsky, Middleton, Fotheringham, Van der Sand, Doherty, Sturton and Meshach. Hearts, well, they are unchanged, so it's Craig Gordon in goals, a back 4 of Adam Forrester, Craig Halkett, Kai Rolls and James Penrice. The sitting midfield is Cammy Devlin and George Grant, with Musa Drame, Liam Boyce and Blair Spittle. Then it's James Wilson leading the line, the teenage prodigy in great form. The subs for Hearts: Fulton, Oyagoki, Forrest, Boteng, Danda, Nielsen, Tate, new signing from Rotherham, Jamie McCart and Vargas. Match referee at Tannadice, Matthew McDermott, and Don Robertson is your man on VAR.
And from a Dundee derby to a Tayside derby for Tony Docherty's side, St Johnstone welcoming them to McDermott Park. Roger Hanna's there.
Welcome to McDermott Park, Gordon. It's a big Tayside derby day for Simo Valakari. St Johnstone start bottom of the Premiership, 5 points adrift of Hearts and 7 behind both Ross County and the 9th place visitors Dundee. St Johnstone have Jason Holt suspended today after his red card against Hibernian on Thursday, but at that point snapped a 4-match losing run for the Saints. Valakari's side now 7 without a win though, and they've won just once since a come-from-behind success at Dens back in October when Graham Carey and Nicky Clark scored the goals. They're without a few players today. Mackenzie Kirk's still out in the sidelines injured. Kyle Cameron and Lewis Nielsen have both left the club after loan spells, and as we say, Holt suspended today. Dundee 9th, as we say. They lost 4 of the last 5, including that last gasp derby agony against United at Dens on Thursday evening. They've got defensive problems still. Billy Kumetio, Antonio Portales, Jordan McGee, Joe Shaughnessy, Ziad Larkesh all out, and Sean Kelly left the club yesterday after his short-term deal expired. They did take 4 points here last season. Tony Docherty knows another win would open a 10-point gap up on their Tayside rivals at the bottom, ahead of a Dens visit of Rangers on Thursday night. 2 changes for St Johnstone from that draw: Carey and Matt Smith in for the suspended Holt and young Fran Fransak. So it's Josh Ray in goal. Back 4, Dre Wright, Jack Sanders, Bozo Mikulic and Andre Raymond. Across the middle, Graham Carey, Sven Sprangler, the skipper Nicky Clark and Matt Smith. And up top, Adama Sidibé and Benji Kimpioka. On the bench, Hepburn, McPherson, Essel, Kusharai, McPeak, Keltians, Franchak, Dare and Brookfield. Dundee 1 enforced change from that derby defeat, with Scott Tiffany coming in for the absent Finn Robertson. Means it's Trevor Carson in goal. The back 3, Ryan Ashley, Clark Robertson and Luke Graham. Midfield, Josh Mulligan, Mo Silla, Lyle Cameron and Scott Tiffany, with Sean Adewumi just behind Seb Palmer Holden and Simon Murray. On the bench, McCracken, Sharp, Ingram, Main, Garza, Braybrook and Vetro. The referee is David Dickinson. The VAR is Alan Muir.
What a day we have in store, seriously. It got off to a fantastic start. Entertainment wise, not so fantastic if you're Philippe Clement, a Rangers player or a Rangers fan. A 3-3 draw at Easter Road. The Motherwell game against Aberdeen kicks off in 10 minutes. We'll preview the 3 o'clock games and look back on Easter Road when we return.
Scottish football's league leader. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
5 minutes away from kickoff at Fir Park. We've already had the team news there. We've had the team news from all the other 3 o'clock venues, and we're looking back on Easter Road. Let's bring in the top team who are around the grounds, focusing on their own games, but I'm sure watching with interest at events at Easter Road. Let's start with you, Roger Hannah. Just yesterday, I asked you all, was Thursday the start of something for Rangers? What do you think now?
I think exactly what I thought yesterday, Gordon. What I said to you was I would be reticent to say it was the start of something for Rangers, because too often under Philippe Clement you've seen these false dawns. Even recently, the performance against Tottenham, the 6-0 against Kilmarnock, the performance in the cup final against Celtic, you thought they were going to kick on, and we have to come to the realisation that this team under this manager are not good enough to kick on. They can't be trusted to go to somewhere like Easter Road and even hold on to a 2-goal win. And I've no idea about McDermott Park today. I'm watching St Johnstone against Dundee. I don't know whether Dundee will win, lose or draw this afternoon. What I do know is I wouldn't put any money in Rangers winning at Dens Park on Thursday night either.
Yeah, I mean, David Friel, does that surprise you today, Easter Road? How do you reflect on it? Oh, he's not there. Let's try Fraser Wishart. What do you make of events at Easter Road first?
You can hear me, I'm just listening to your dulcet tones going over the tannoy.
I can hear that. It's a bit weird, that, I have to say.
Far too many jobs, Gordon, far too many jobs. I thought it just showed the good and the bad of Rangers. There's lots of good in the last couple of months, I think, in terms of Egeman. There's clearly a
This is all good fun, honestly. The technology's keeping me on my toes, just as it was yesterday. What about David Friel?
Yeah, what I think was that they expect it. It's certainly not a surprise. You know, Rangers have now dropped 18 points away from home this season. Gordon, there's 30 to play for. They've taken just 12. It's just not good enough, and nobody should be surprised. It's Jekyll and Hyde stuff from Rangers. You know, they can show up against Celtic, play them off the park. They can be so unlucky not to beat Spurs, but then they go away from home against the so-called lesser teams and just can't get results. And Philippe Clement has to find a way to win these games. It sounded like a classic. I managed to catch snippets of it, but it's just not good enough, and it's more drop points for Rangers.
What do you think he'll say when we're going to hear from him very soon? How do you think he'll react to this?
Well, he'll have to say something that makes sense, because this is the shortest lived transformation ever. The feel-good factor lasted 3 days, and he's now a man under pressure from the Rangers supporters. I can imagine now that social media has made up its mind on him. His team imploded when they were expected to explode. They did for 20 minutes, and then they imploded, and it simply set them back again. I fully expect Celtic to take care of St Mirren. The lead will be 13 points at that point, plus the goal difference, 14 points. No one in their right mind would think that Celtic would lose 4 games between now and the end of the season. Philippe Clement has got to stop making excuses. He should not dwell on the penalty kick that was awarded to Hibs, because yes, it was a marginal decision, but John Beaton was in that absolutely no doubt that it was a penalty. He shouldn't dwell on that, because the Rangers fans have had enough of him with his excuses. He was, after the Celtic victory, his first in an Old Firm match, at the high water mark of his career as Rangers manager, and now he's slipped right back down to the bottom of the pile once again. So he should be honest and admit that his team failed to take advantage of the feel-good factor and imploded.
Well, Fraser Wishart's game's about to kick off at Fir Park, Motherwell and Aberdeen, so we'll keep an eye on that. That's a 2:30 kick-off. Roger Hannah, we're trying to battle your technological issues you all seem to be having, but the reaction from Philippe Clement sometimes is as newsworthy as the results themselves. You wonder how he'll take this one.
Yeah, and I think his reaction is newsworthy, because often in the past, Gordon, you find he's watched a different game than the rest of us have watched, and it will be interesting to hear what he says. Rangers should have been out of sight inside half an hour at Easter Road. They gave Hibs a sniff, and Hibs are a team in good form. David Gray's manager of the month. They'd won, I think it was 5 out of 6 or 6 out of 7 getting into this game, and when they took that lifeline that was offered to them when Martin Boyle scored, they were always going to be in the game. And even at 3-2, when Egeman, who was terrific when he claimed his hat-trick, even then I'm not sure many Rangers fans would have had confidence that their team could hang on. And it was interesting sitting here at McDermott Park listening to you guys in the studio. At 3-3, you could almost sense you were expecting a fourth Hibs goal, and I'm sure a lot of Rangers supporters will be the same. I'll be fascinated to hear from the Rangers supporters after we hear from Philippe Clement.
I suppose, Roger, they do have issues right now. I mean, you look at the back line and it works against Celtic, and then everyone gets excited, but it's now only going to get worse. Presumably Dujon Sterling doesn't shake it off in a couple of times to go to Dens Park. Robin Propper will be suspended, so will Nico Raskin. Maybe Leon Balogun comes back if he was supposed to be close to the Celtic game, albeit he wasn't involved today. But it doesn't really get much easier, and this, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that this gets even worse within the space of a few days for Rangers.
Possibly, but I mean, there's a transfer window open. They can go and get a centre half on loan. Surely that's not beyond them. Clinton Insiala was on the bench for the first time today since his move from AC Milan. He was a player that Philippe Clement said at the start of the season, in the same breath that he said Hamza Igaman wasn't ready for first team football. He said Insiala wasn't ready for first team football.
That was good. We got a solid 3 minutes out of that. That was excellent. That's a nice change
there, yeah. But I think Roger's correct to say that you can't rely on Rangers for anything, and that they are now beset by problems for Dundee. Tony Docherty's team have to do something about it. We'll see how they get on at Perth today. But the overall picture is that it's almost as if the Celtic result didn't happen, because he's back to square one. Philippe Clement, he has given the Rangers fans 1 day of the bragging rights, and straight away what he gave them, he has taken away with the other hand. That's how they will view it. And no one thought that Rangers were going to win the league, but they did think that Rangers would take inspiration from the game against Celtic. And far from taking inspiration, they've reverted to type. They've gone back to that unfathomable, inexplicable Rangers. So that's what Clement faces now. He will get dog's abuse from the fans.
I suppose it can't go right back to where you were in the sense, Gordon, because Rangers now at least know they can beat Celtic. Now that doesn't change anything today, and it certainly makes the league table look worse if Celtic go on and win and so on. So I'm not sure they're exactly back to where they were, but I also get where Hugh's coming from. It certainly undoes a lot of the hard work.
Look, in the last 2 games, Celtic and Hibs, they've scored 6 goals, and unfortunately for him, he's only picked up 4 points. Right, you get away from home today after that result on Thursday, and you score 3 goals at Easter Road, and you cannot defend. You cannot defend, and Hibs were the same. That's why it was such an exciting game. He'll certainly be disappointed. He's lost another, Sterling. Obviously that'll be a big blow to him as well. He's got Yilmaz in there at right back. The difference between Thursday and today was Hibs, Mark touched on it early, they put balls into the box, they caused problems for corners, set plays, everything about it. Rangers were all over the place. I feel a bit sorry for the Rangers manager, and the reason why, I'm not a great fan, but I feel sorry because he's one of these managers, he just goes game to game, right? He must have fell over the moon Thursday night, sitting enjoying his Friday and his Saturday with his player training. He turns up at Easter Road 20 minutes in, he must have been standing that dugout thinking, now we're starting to play, we're dominating the game, we're 2-0 up, this is going to be anything at all. And then an hour and a bit later, it's back to the criticism.
It shows you the temperamental vulnerability of this side, because the big players on Thursday, like Hadji, like Czerny, eventually don't last the 90 minutes. And what happened on the road for Rangers in so many places, as I say, a strangely dominant characteristic of Clement's time as manager. All those happenings on the road where Rangers drop points when they shouldn't have spooked them again today. Even a 2-0 lead wasn't enough for them to hang on to, and even a 3-2 lead with Igamani getting his hat-trick, even then they couldn't hang on to it. So it's been a really bad day, and the vulnerability of the side.
He recognised the problem, Hugh, when he made the substitution. He took Czerny off and brought on Barron to basically make it solid, and it didn't work for him. Now Hugh touches on a point there. Well, the big hitters that played on Thursday didn't last the 90 minutes. I don't think even if they were winning 3-0 they'd have lasted the 90 minutes, right? And that's what happens. That's why you make the substitutions. Totally agree with you. They didn't add anything. Igamani today was the only player I think up front thought he was excellent. Barami, I cannot remember seeing him on the ball. I thought he was as poor as I've ever seen him. But I just think he'll be disappointed in the result.
We'll try Roger Hannah again. Roger, I suppose Philippe Clement will point to individual circumstances in individual games, but how do you get away from generalising Rangers' away form this season?
Oh, you can't get away from it at all. I mean, they've dropped far too many points. The boys were saying earlier on, you lose at Celtic, these things can happen, but to lose at Aberdeen and St Mirren and Kilmarnock, to drop points at Motherwell, to drop points at Hearts, to now drop points at Hibernian, I mean, they are average, they're run-of-the-mill, they're ordinary, they're mid-table in terms of away form. I think their away goal difference is still a negative. That's not good enough for Rangers. But Philippe Clement seems happy, as Gordon says, just to go on game to game and just talk his way through it. It's not good enough. The Rangers fans know it's not good enough, and you wonder how long it will take for the Rangers board to acknowledge it's not good enough. Philippe Clement can leave with the nice memories of an Old Firm win the other day, but in general his team isn't good enough.
I'm seeing that stuff, and RW sent a tweet to say must be sacked this evening, 4 wins in 15 away games, unacceptable, and so on. But are we seriously there, Roger, after the highs of Thursday?
I don't know. It's very difficult to tell because we've no gauge for what Patrick Stewart and Fraser Thornton think. They've never been involved in a situation like this before, so we don't know where they're coming from, how far they are in with Philippe Clement, if you know what I mean. But results dictate everything. The boys will tell you that. They've dropped points again today. They are going to finish up perhaps 13 points behind Celtic on the 5th of January. They've already lost the League Cup final to Celtic. Yes, they're in Europe, but results will dictate it. What happens when they go to Dens Park next week will dictate it. What happens when they're at home to St Johnstone next Sunday will dictate it. He needs more out of the team, but even off the back of Thursday, Gordon, I don't think any of us would have said with any confidence, having seen this Rangers team under Philippe Clement, that they would go and win at Hibs today, and they couldn't.
Because I suppose, Roger, the timing's difficult here in the sense that before you even get to the question of should Philippe Clement be sacked, which is quite an extreme one, if you feel that he's on borrowed time and you feel like it will come eventually, why would you leave him in and put him in charge of players to come in January?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've likened it a couple of times, Gordon, to the Eric Ten Hag situation at Manchester United. Now, I think people suspected a long time ago Eric Ten Hag wasn't a long-term answer for Manchester United, but he managed, any time he looked as if he was going to get sacked, he managed to pull out a result. I think he won a League Cup against Newcastle. He then won that FA Cup final against Manchester City, but it was papering over the cracks. And eventually this season it got to a situation where results dictated that he had to go. And I just feel it's the same with Clement. He has had performances and results. We talk about some of the European ones, the win in Nice, the great performance against Tottenham. We can talk about the performances in 2 cup finals when he's lost them both, unfortunately, but he's lost them both. Well, people will talk about last Thursday against Celtic as being a high watermark, but that only becomes truly significant if it puts you back into a title race. And not only did it not put them into a title race, but 3 days later, in the first opportunity to build on it, they drop points again.
Well, it's going to be quite the fallout to suspect as the days go on from this one. We'll open the phones later as well. What's happening inside the first 8 minutes or so at Fir Park, Gordon?
To be brutally honest with you, not much. It's a bit scrappy. The only exciting news that comes out of Fir Park is Fraser back with us in the team. Andy Halliday, our own, got a real sore one there. I looked at a sore one in Andy, but it has been a bit scrappy. 2 teams really desperate for a result. Motherwell coming off the back of a disappointing result at Tynecastle last week, Thursday, and obviously Aberdeen well documented the run they're on. So it'll be interesting. First goal will be important this game.
I hope you've closed your window. It's snowing in Motherwell.
Yeah,
I've not got any windows left, mate. I'll just get curtains over them.
Bit of concern here for Motherwell. There's a VAR check. I think it's been play on.
Yeah, Davor booked, and deservedly so. It's a poor challenge, and he catches the Aberdeen midfielder very, very high. He's just probably fortunate that he's at close range. He's not lunged in, so there's not that force. There's not the endangering, but the contact was very high. And it is still Motherwell 0, Aberdeen 0, with just over 9 minutes on the clock.
Just of course, to go back to your point about Philippe Clement, I don't think Rangers can afford to sack him. They've got a window that's opening here, and they need money. They don't need to pay out money.
Okay, so one game underway, one game finished, and a few round the corner. We'll go back around the grounds after these.
This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson, Gordon Dalziel are in the studio. We have a game finished at Easter Road, 3-3, Hibs against Rangers. We have 14 minutes on the clock at Fir Park, where it's Motherwell 0, Aberdeen 0. It's not great, but Aberdeen, you would say, are the team who are looking the most likely, as Duke goes into the box, and it's just about cleared by Motherwell. And some big games coming up in about 15 minutes time. So let's go back to Celtic Park, Gabriel, where although Celtic already had a big lead anyway, and people said that Thursday wasn't title altering, they do now know that they can have a chuckle at Rangers and then try and do their part of the deal later on. That's just how the rivalry works.
Yeah, Gordon, exactly that. What an opportunity it is for them to almost erase that defeat at Ibrox. They can establish that 13-point gap between the two again, and as I said, extinguish any notion of Rangers mounting a title challenge, because when they were 2-0 up at Easter Road early on, it looked like the gap was going to be 8 points coming here, putting just a bit of heat on Celtic. But they have the chance again just to extend that gap. And as I said, when fans were coming in here, Gordon, at 2 o'clock, 10 past 2, smiles on their faces, and that's not what I was expecting to see when I pulled up an hour previously to that. And of course, we all know what happened at Ibrox. It was certainly Celtic's worst performance of the season. They only lost 2 games in the entirety of 2024, and they lost the first game of 2025, so it was a bit of a shock to see that. And the question is, how do they bounce back? Rodgers has made a few changes, 4, 2 of them in midfield, Kyogo dropping out as well, with Ida coming in up top. Will we see a difference there? It's a big chance for the 2 in midfield today as well. That's been the kind of key battleground for Celtic all season. Who partners Callum Gregor in the middle, and a really big opportunity for Arne Engels and Luke McCowan as well to seize a stake to be in the lineup going forwards, going into the rest of the season. But St Mirren, no pushovers. We know they took that big scalp on Boxing Day. Brilliant last minute winner from Caleb Boyd-Muntz against Rangers. It's going to be really interesting to see how this one plays out, Gordon.
I think it's safe to say, Gabriel, the Austin Trusty inclusion is the most interesting one, just purely because they have chopped and changed, and Liam Scales came in for him in the cup final, and then vice versa. Is that the one that maybe fans will be looking to see if this is the start of a run in the team for him?
Yeah, it's interesting because Scales started the season so strongly. He seemed to be the first choice, but then around November time, Trusty played a few games. It was actually when Carter Vickers was out injured and he was playing with Scales, and then Carter Vickers came back, and they did seem to form a real bond at centre half. Trusty and Carter Vickers, of course, both American internationals. And you would think, with the money that has been spent on him to buy him from Sheffield United, £6 million in the summer, that he would be the first choice centre half at the left side of defence. Could this be, as you say, the start of his run in the team? That's what the American will be hoping for. We'll see if it plays out later.
I suppose though, Mark, much like the flip side of what we said about Rangers earlier, you can analyse what Rangers did against Celtic to death, but tactically it's so different going to Easter Road. Similarly then, when the equation of Liam Scales and Austin Trusty, the problem, so-called problem, has been games against Rangers. It's Austin Trusty who gets hooked at half-time and Scales comes on. It's then Liam Scales that gets stick for the performance on Thursday. So is a home game against St Mirren actually one that you can base too much on?
By the way, he might have come back into the team anyway, Trusty. Look, the problem obviously lay with Brendan Rodgers at half time in the cup final, that he thought Celtic weren't building it from the back as successfully as he would like, and he thought it was a better bet with Scales. Now, it was a wee bit surprising that Scales kept his place for the games after that, but he obviously thought Rangers would have a similar game plan. His best bet was to play Scales to build it through the back. Didn't go that way. Scales had a poor game, gave the ball away time and time again. One resulted in a goal. But he might have likely have seen Trusty back in the side today. There's nothing wrong with Trusty defensively. I think he's got pace. I think he's physical. I think he's shown he can handle the European stage as well. Maybe just still adapting to the different challenges he will get here in Scotland. But I think it'll be a good change today. I mean, in terms of physicality and who's coming up against St Mirren, bring that physicality, and Trusty can certainly deal with it.
It surprised me, right, because I thought up until that 45 minutes at Hampden, Trusty and Carter Vickers were forming a good partnership. I thought he looked the real deal. I really did. I agree with Mark. I think he's a good defender, everything about him. And it was strange that 45 minutes, and managers make big decisions, that's why he's paid the big money. He makes a decision with scales, but then he's never seen again. I don't know, I have no idea what happened that, but he's back in today to go with that partnership with Carter Vickers once again.
On the subject of big money, I think today is time for the club and the Celtic fans to ask about those they paid big money for. I think at the back, Trusty, £6 million. I think Engels at £11 million in the middle of the park, the club's record signing, and Ida at £9 million up front. That's £26 million. I think you're entitled against St Mirren at home for these three, back, middle, front, to show why Celtic paid out
is that a
money.
good lesson for Celtic
just
fans?
Quickly, a bit of a sitter from Motherwell there. It's a wonderful ball. You got to expect it from Andy Halliday, and Dan Casey heads wide. He's on an angle, but still he's 3 yards out, if that. He really has to find the back of the net. Oh my goodness, the view from behind the goal makes it look even worse.
I was going to say, it's a good lesson for Celtic fans. All the money in the bank, and they cry out they must spend it, and when 9 million is outlaid and 11 million, brilliant. But I never buys you the finished article. Some of Celtic's biggest successes has been those that have been bought for $1 million or 2 million and sold on for like what Mattarella was.
But a test of judgment has to come into it. I mean, you've paid £11 million for Arne Engels. You've bust the bank for him. You're entitled to get something out of him at home to St Mirren.
I don't think that's what Mark's arguing. I think once it's almost the scary thing is even £11 million nowadays doesn't guarantee it. I think that's the point. You know, this assumption that as long just write the check and your team will instantly improve dramatically. Which is not the case.
Yeah, but this is Scottish football, and this is Celtic against St Mirren. This ought to be comfortable for Celtic at home.
Good save, Aston Oxborough. Big chance for Aberdeen up the other end.
See, in the case of Ingles, look, he came in, I thought he looked terrific, right? He went off the boil. They've paid that money for potential. They know that Brendan Rodgers is going to improve him. I'll take him time. So yeah, 11 million Scottish football is a big outlay, of course it is, but he's a young talent, and I think he'll only get better. He was man of the match the last game before they went to Ibrox in the stadium. So he's been up and down with his form. Ida is a guy that can get you goals, but as a centre forward, everybody will tell you need a run of games, and he's not getting that just now. He's coming off the bench, playing a bit part here. So, and I think Trusty is the real deal. I think Trusty's a good player.
What about the game between Kilmarnock and Ross County? David Friel, Gordon Dalziel says Kilmarnock's New Year's resolution has to be stop getting players sent off. It would be a good place to start, but they're another one in that mid-section of the league where they're very difficult to predict the results. A really convincing 2-0 win against St Mirren on Thursday. That was off the back of a defeat at Hibs, which was off the back of a 4-0 win against Aberdeen. So to be fair, the home form is always what you look at for Kilmarnock. Generally very good.
Yeah, and what's that grudging compliment people give them, Gordon? They're good at what they do. Well, the last couple of times I've seen them, they've certainly been that. And I think Derek McInnes had always really targeted this period either side of Christmas. A lot of home games. You know, they've won 3 in a row. They've got Ross County today, they've got Kilmarnock coming up in midweek, and I think he always targeted that period as a time to get the points on the board. They've done it so far, and he'll certainly be confident today, albeit nobody thought that Ross County would become kings of the road after their 15 months without an away win, but they've obviously found a formula too. But I would expect Kilmarnock to be strong. Bruce Anderson, one of the top goal scorers in the league, he's actually averaging a goal every 87 minutes. He's really on form this season. He's just been desperate to get a run in the team and get a chance, and he's got another one here today.
But then on the other hand, you know, Ross County I think were a lot of people's tips to go down, and a lot was made about their home form and how they couldn't do it away, and all of a sudden since Boxing Day they've won 3-0 at Dundee, they've beaten Aberdeen at Pittodrie, and who knows, maybe they're turning into away specialists all of a sudden.
Yeah, and as I said, I think Don Cowie has just been. He was kind of scratching his head. I've been at a couple of Ross County away games and they've been really unlucky, and I think he felt that maybe that start and the long time without away win was maybe playing these players' minds, and sometimes it just takes an unexpected one. They got that at Dundee, nobody expected it. They then go to Aberdeen and 2 great goals. I'm still not sure Noah Chilvers meant his, and his Cole Palmer celebration should be questioned after it. However, a big win for Pittodrie again. As I said, they've never ever as a club won 3 Premiership games away from home on the trot, so it's a chance for them to make history today. There's a tiny band of Ross County fans. I mean, there must be about 30 of them have made the journey down, and Don Cowie will just hope they can give them another 3 points to get back up the road.
That is a journey and a half. Imagine how many lifts Hugh Keevins would have to try and get to get from Dingwall to Ayrshire.
I would have left the house, to be perfectly frank with you.
Anyway, the scene is set there and at Celtic Park, and the other 3 o'clock games. Our own Andy Halliday's taking a fair old whack on the head. I think he's going to be okay to continue. That doesn't look great on second viewing, but I think he's going to be fine. Still goalless between Motherwell and Aberdeen. That kicked off early, and the 25 minutes on the clock there. So chances at either end. Dan Casey missing a sitter, and then a decent save from Aston Oxborough to deny Nicky Devlin, I think it was, up the other end. So that one is in the balance. Of course, you've heard all about the 3-3 draw at Easter Road. We will get the 3 o'clock games up and running, and we'll hear from Philippe Clement next.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
It is a 6-game Sunday on Clyde One Super Scoreboard. We are 1 and a bit games into that. Rangers drawing 3-3 at Easter Road. That is over. We'll hear from Philippe Clement soon. We now have Motherwell against Aberdeen, where we have reached the half-hour mark and it is still goalless. And then your more traditional 3 o'clock games. We've got Celtic welcoming St Mirren. We've got Kilmarnock hosting Ross County, St Johnstone Dundee, and Dundee United taking on Hearts. Plenty to look forward to. You 3 were hopeless at your prediction for the Rangers game. You now have to try and get 4 right in a one. Or how's it looking? You can leave the Motherwell game off, given that there's half an hour gone.
Well, you have to include it. It's part of the ACCA. So the game at Motherwell lacks only one thing, and that's entertainment. But I think Aberdeen will eventually win that one. Celtic to win at home against St Mirren, Kilmarnock to beat Ross County, Dundee to win away against St Johnstone in Perth, and Dundee United to win and stay third.
I'll go with Hugh in this one we're watching. I think Aberdeen will sneak this one. I think Celtic beat St Mirren, Kelly will beat Ross County, Dundee away win at St Johnstone, and a draw at Tannadice between Dundee United and Hearts.
Draw at Fir Park, no football. Celtic to beat St Mirren, Kilmarnock to beat Ross County. Here's my shock of the day: St Johnstone to beat Dundee at home, Dundee United Hearts draw.
Kuhn nearly ran the whole length of the park for Celtic early on, and it went out for a corner. So Celtic trying to start. In fact, Ida then puts it just wide, close for Celtic inside the opening couple of minutes. So they're trying to put their foot down, having had a rare defeat at Ibrox on Thursday. I think nothing doing there in the Motherwell game. I think Motherwell felt a bit hard done by as the ball came into the box. Referee, lots of stoppages in this game. The players aren't immune from that blame. They've hold on, Motherwell are in. BA just chops back. He's going to have to try and get a shot away or find a teammate. Tony Watt. There is so much dilly-dallying from Motherwell in front of goal.
Hear the frustration in his voice as he said that, because
how many times though?
We were just chatting about Tony Watt not so long ago and how he maybe takes a bit too long to shoot. I thought he should have just pulled the trigger there. There's a good chance, touch, hit, but he tries to come back inside there. Chance going a beg in there for Motherwell.
Good chance.
Even a BA before that though, Gordon, if you're in a game that you've got to 30 minutes and you've not really created much and you've not really had many shots, I'm going to just take one.
Yeah, take one on. But I do agree. I think Tony took too many touches there. I am just desperate for us to get to half time to hear Fraser Wisher's report on it.
I do think though, I'm not saying it's been great, but I think this is my New Year's resolution for you lot. You pick a mindset at the start and you stick with it. I think this has got a bit better. I think we've had a few chances
Well,
since then.
yeah, I did see someone.
And you're scared to change your mind.
2 passes.
Nah, see, you're doing it again.
No, it's been. Let's not sugarcoat this.
Just watch them. But I'm telling you, that's a great run from Maswanisi, who eventually gets bundled on.
You know what there is? There's a lot of bashing into each other here. Like Marvin would love this to dodge him.
There we are. Brilliant from Marvin Coletta.
Take it right off the Motherwell player.
I'm telling you, watch this for this year. You do that. You all pick an opinion and then you're scared to change your mind.
I think the problem is you've been a ball boy at Motherwell too many games. You know this inside out. You've seen this movie plenty of times.
Oh, sorry,
before.
I forgot your Wraith team were like 1970s Brazil.
Yeah, I did win cups and stuff like that. Yeah,
they were a good outfit, weren't they?
Who, Brazil?
No, that Wraith team.
We've got a goal already.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
He scored the other night and it ended up not counting for much, but Simon Murray has put Dundee 1 in front away in the Tayside derby. St Johnstone 0, Dundee 1. Joshua Ray drops a free kick in the box. It bounced around and Murray knocked it home. Did you see him the other night?
Bit over the top there with celebration,
screaming at the goalkeeper, shouting.
I like that.
I like it when it goes the other way and they lose 2-1.
Yeah, you can like it if you don't go and lose the game.
But the serious point is that
here's a chance for Motherwell.
Squared across, any taker back post. Yes, we've got a goal at Fir Park.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
It's been coming. This game has upped in quality in the last few minutes, even if the pundits are watching it with their eyes shut. It's Motherwell 1, Aberdeen 0, and Ewan Wilson, surely his first goal for Motherwell.
Is it?
Can't have scored many. Young player who comes in to the team this season, and he has slammed it high into the net to make it Motherwell 1, Aberdeen 0.
Jimmy Talleen on his way to 10 without a win, but he's got the second half to atone. The point I was going to make about Dundee, Simon Murray, goal up. I think St Johnstone are looking a sticky one for the drop.
I'll agree with you, Gordon. This game has got better, but only from a Motherwell point of view, because in the last 5 minutes they've been in a good few times. Tony Watt should have taken his chance moments before. That is very similar to only it's Wilson coming in at the back post. By the way, it's a good finish. I know he's only 7 yards out, but he's right in the angle.
It's a great finish. It's good play, good build up. Tony Watt, who got a little bit of criticism, gets the ball across. He's still got a bit to do. I'll tell you, great left foot, good finish. Now we've got a game on, really enjoying it.
Motherwell 1 up, 35 on the clock. Celtic have started brightly, especially down Nicholas Kuhn's side, but nothing to tell you yet in terms of goals. Kilmarnock have been forced into a change, and you feel for Innes Cameron. He's been at the club for years, and the starts are few and far between, and he's had to go off already. He's got his face buried in his jersey. He's gutted. Marley Watkins comes on for him. Too much Maduri at Christmas.
Too much Maduri. Well, my nap of the day, St Johnstone, didn't last too long. I'm hoping for 2026 to be a better year.
You're not getting much right yet at the start of this one.
I'm getting all the bad stuff out quickly, Mark. Hopefully February will be fine.
Anyway, right, Celtic, we said, have started brightly. Alistair Johnson looks lively, so does Nicholas Kuhn. St Mirren, I think, they'll have to defend a lot in these types of afternoons.
What about good old Phil? What did he have to say for himself?
Yeah, we'll hear from Philippe Clement. Actually, I suppose we could do that now, because we're talking about this game at Celtic Park. It is a chance for Celtic to go back to 13 points ahead. Rangers getting just the 1 point at Easter Road. It was a busy game. Rangers led 2-0. They then led 3-2, 3-all. The Rangers fans, maybe some of them not happy about the penalty awarded to Hibs. Let's hear from the manager.
Frustrating afternoon to lose 3 points. First, we played a really good first half, finding the spaces that we wanted to find. Good combination play, good chances, good goals. Defensively solid. And second half, you want to build on that, make the third goal, go for that, and staying solid like that. It became more a game. Hibs came more into the game. They score their goal then, but yeah. The penalty situation is, for me, I don't understand. It's a situation with a small collision between two players on top speed, where even the attacking players gets Yanis down by getting his legs from behind. Giving penalties like this, then you need to ask players with every contact to go down in the 16, what I don't want. And that's not how you want football to be played. So that was a very important moment in the game, because you create momentum for Hibs. We were leading, we were dominant on the ball. We didn't score the third goal, which would have made the difference. Then we come back, still to make the 2-3. And then it's disappointing on a set piece to lose this header and to lose 2 points. But we know also the situation we are in with so many defenders out. So yeah, it's a disappointing afternoon to lose 2 points, because there were a lot of positive of the team also. But at the end, you will remember the result, and that's not good enough.
His main gripe seems to be the penalty. Hugh, does he have a case?
No, he has seized upon one moment in the game where you might argue, but John Beaton was absolutely certain that the penalty was the correct decision. He's had gone and seized one point, one contentious issue, and failed to address the big picture. The big picture being, yet again, at the 7th venue of this season, Rangers have failed to win on the road 7 times this season, and he never ever addresses that situation. And for me, it's simply trying to camouflage the situation, and it's waffle.
It touches on a couple of points.
Just start on the penalty, if you wouldn't mind. Do you think it is a mistake? I mean, we half debated it at the time.
When I seen it first go, I thought it was a Stonewall penalty, Gordon, and then once I looked at it again, I never thought it was going to be overturned. But if you're a Rangers fan, losing that sort of penalty, I think you'd have been disappointed. I think David Gray, if he'd have lost it at the other end, would have probably said the same. But when it all boils down, he's talking about defensively solid and everything like that. They lost 3 goals away from home today. He didn't mention the injuries to the defence after Thursday's clean sheet against the best team in the land. I think sometimes he just, as Hugh quite rightly points out, he sometimes just picks and things and gets away from the real truth. And I don't think he's pulling the wool over the Rangers fans' eyes.
He thinks that this appeals to the Rangers fans, and they'll say, yeah, we were robbed by the referee, but they're not. When the Rangers players went to applaud their fans at time up, the stand was practically empty. They'd gone because they were disgusted by what they had witnessed. And Rangers fans aren't happy with the occasional win against Celtic. Thursday's win was the first win over Celtic for a year and 8 months. They're not happy with a periodic win over Celtic. They want a club that knows where it's going, and under Clement, I don't think that's what they've got.
Your thoughts on the penalty, Mark?
The penalty, I think if that's the other side, Philippe Clement is saying it's a penalty all day long as well. I think Campbell does well to get in. I think Haji's always in trouble when he's the wrong side, and I do think he leans on him with his arm. There is a tangle edge, but I think when the attacking player is that side, there is always a risk. I was the same as Daz. When I seen it at first, I thought, oh, that's a penalty. Of course, when you slow it down, you can. I don't think there's enough dubiety in it to then reverse the decision. So John Beaton at the time thought it was a penalty. A very difficult decision, but that was my.
Is it exactly
my thought?
Is
right
it exactly in that category of, let's all be honest with ourselves, if it's your team you think that's a penalty,
100%.
and if it's
against you, when
and if it's not, you
down,
don't. And therefore sometimes we need to acknowledge that.
But I think even Philippe Clement, right, standing at the side in that touchline, the opposite side, when he seen Haji clattering the back of Campbell, he must have thought, if he was honest, that's a penalty. Now when he looks back, and all these teams have got iPads now, when he looks back and they replay to the other side, I think that's maybe when he's said maybe not.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Well, Tony Docherty said he was devastated after the Dundee derby. He'll be feeling a bit better about himself here, because they're 2-0 up already. Dundee, St Johnstone 0, Dundee 2. It's a ball across from Clark Robertson, and there is Seb Palmer Holden, SPH, as you might want to call him, and it's 2-0 already.
Started the season with a goal, didn't he, at Tannadice, and kind of went off the boil after that. But good result, or scoreline for Dundee. St Johnstone bang in trouble.
Yeah, they're hoping that they can do a Hibs 2-0 down. It looks like the game's away from them. The next goal, they get it. But you just, I've no idea. I said that St Johnstone yesterday had to win a home game to give them any chance. If they lose today, and obviously the way they're going about it, they're going to lose.
Their only consolation, Daz, is that Hearts are at Tannadice. You would think that,
but in the long run, Hearts are starting to look into the transfer market as well. They'll improve Hugh.
I don't think Valakari has brought anything to St Johnstone.
I thought he had at the start.
So did I.
Fair. They looked better.
So did I.
Well, he hasn't sustained that start, and they look very much in trouble.
The Aberdeen manager looked like he'd brought something to Pittodrie at the start, and you just wonder what's happened here.
And then this is where that old thing, of course, the manager will take the blame. Simo Valakari, but I mean, St Johnstone, they do have on paper clearly one of the weakest squads in the league, don't they?
I think St Johnstone has always got to be a difficult job, Gordon. Let's not be kidded here. It was a big ask for him to get around.
Ribicic is off.
Oh, straight red card in the Aberdeen game. Motherwell 1 up and Aberdeen down to 10 men. We know Ribicic can be a bit overzealous in certain situations. That doesn't mean to say he has been here, so we'll take another look at it and see if VAR wants to intervene. I'll tell you though, it's right in front of the fourth official, who I suspect had a say in it, who by the way is Chris Graham of Dan Casey red card fame at Fir Park. But let's take another look. So Tony Watt, he's battling with Ribicic goes down, he then stands up and it's one of those, he puts his head into Tony Watt's face. Is that enough?
I think it's enough.
Do you?
Yeah.
Seen it from that angle. I think so? Tony Watt's head kind of jolts back a bit with the impact.
Tony Watt's standing over him as he gets up. Do you think is that a proper headbutt?
Yeah, I think Tony's really wound him up there, and he's reacted. I'd like to see it again, Gordon. I don't know if there's enough force in that, are they? He's obviously pleading his case, but it doesn't look like he's going to be successful. But Tony's used his experience really, he winds him up here, has a word in his ear, looks for a reaction. Nah, that's not a red card for me.
Actually, seen it now. Ribicic, as he's slouched over and he's getting up, Tony's
never a red card.
Tony's standing over him, maybe moves his head towards him. Tony goes
twice,
down.
Moves his head towards him twice.
That's not, it stands. He's off. Ribicic is off.
Yeah, I think it's a correct decision.
Aberdeen, yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. I suppose though, maybe we need to get ourselves into maybe we're in a strange habit with this stuff. Like, why are you doing that? Like don't do that. He's
been sort of Tony's used his experience, wound him up, looking for that reaction, and he's given him the perfect reaction, and the referee sent him off. Motherwell 2-0.
Double jeopardy, double punishment.
Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Tawanda Maswanisi makes it Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0. Just to quickly correct something I said, Chris Graham was the VAR here. It's Gavin Duncan's the VAR. The fourth official, I think, is Chris Graham. But Motherwell are 2-0 in front. How quickly did that come around? Right, the incident was on the halfway line. It was in front of the dugouts. I think it was just a throw-in, wasn't it, to Motherwell?
I'll say this
very quickly up the pitch, and goal for Maswanisi.
Maswanisi scored a magnificent goal against Rangers, and that for me is an equally good piece of finishing. It's terrific.
The boy's got ability, hasn't he? That's coming over his shoulder from the halfway line, and he's killed it dead. And then the finish is really quick as well, because McDonald's getting back to him.
McDonald actually does get round by the time he takes his touch.
Finish. Good goal.
What a goal that is, Gordon.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You highlighted it there. It was all about the touch. That touch has got to be perfect to set him up. He's got it brilliant in front of him, and he just slides it. It's a good finish. Slides it, but still a bit to do. Slides it by the goalkeeper. That is a massive blow.
Cast
for
your
Aberdeen.
mind back to the goal they scored against Rangers, and the touch that sends everyone the other way, and the finish is terrific. This guy has real talent.
Yeah, Gordon, I think at Motherwell, you're getting a player in a certain market. You're not getting someone who's going to be absolutely out of this world all the time, and you maybe need to take the rough with the smooth and give him spells out the team and so on. But he is up to 5 league goals for the season now. Motherwell very quickly extended his contract, I think, or gave him a better contract, probably knowing what they had.
See, when he come on the scene at first, Gordon, I looked at him as an impact player, coming off the bench with that pace, and defenders didn't know what he was going to do. All of a sudden he's just grown into Motherwell. He's grown into the Scottish game. You've seen it there, confidence, scoring goals. And I agree with the lads, if you analyse his goal against Rangers, you analyse his goal here, a brilliant touch he's got, and he sets himself up.
The other worrying thing for me about this game, I think Aberdeen have lost self-control as well. Keskinen getting involved, they're already a man down. I understand that things are bad, that this could be 10 games in a row without a win. They are 2 down, but that their self-control is very important, or they'll be down to 9 men.
Yeah, you've got to see when you're in that rut, Hugh, as a manager, you look for your players not to let you down.
Yeah.
That reaction right at he's put himself in such a position, he's put the officials in a position to say, right, red card, off you go, long ball over the top, all of a sudden you're a man down and you're now 2 down.
Still no goals to tell you about at Celtic Park, approaching the 20-minute mark. You almost don't have to say these things, because you just know that Celtic will have the most of the ball and most of the territory. They've not created loads though, which might be a bit frustrating for Brendan Rodgers, albeit early.
I think patience today. I think a lot of Celtic fans will be turning up there looking for that early goal, looking for a big result, looking for a big performance. I think you've got to be patient if you're a Celtic fan today. They will dominate most of the game. They've got a very strong side out there. I'd be surprised if they didn't go on and win this game.
So with the fans, as I say, I think there has to be responsibility, accountability. I think if you've got that squad, and I'll take on board all the points about how young Engels is and he does this and that and Trusty, this is a multi-million-pound Celtic squad who surely could not even think about dropping any points at home to St Mirren.
Yeah, but my point's quite simple, Hugh, that you can't. I said it yesterday. Celtic are not at the point where every game they turn up, they'll go and steamroller teams, score early and score 3, 4, 5. Now, they've done that in the past. They're capable of course they are. But teams like St Mirren and Rangers against them work very hard, try and make it difficult. So sometimes it takes that, a bit of time for the breakdown.
Well, even the Motherwell game, they were quite poor. They scored a penalty at half time, on the stroke of half time, and then won 4. And it becomes a.
That's exactly what I'm saying, Gordon. So I think it could be the same today. There'll be a bit of disappointment from Thursday. The players will be a little bit anxious, going, we need a big performance. But remember, St Mirren have went there. They're not just going to go there to make up the numbers. They'll make it difficult. They'll be well drilled. They'll sit deep. They'll try and stop any space for Celtic running in behind. So it's up to Celtic to be patient and obviously open them up.
Yes, so we're approaching half time at Fir Park. We'll hear from Fraser Wishart. Motherwell 2-0 up and Aberdeen down to 10 men. Still goalless between Celtic and St Mirren, but we're only 20 minutes into that one, with a similar time frame on Killie Ross County, which remains goalless, Dundee United Hearts, which remains goalless, and Dundee are 2-0 up at St Johnstone.
Motherwell will be 4 points behind Aberdeen if this scoreline turns into a result, and it's a long way down for Jimmy to lean. 10 games in a row, no wins, half time.
Yeah, we'll speak to Fraser in just a second and get his take on it, the eyewitness account. Just let's wait and see if we get any other updates to bring you first. It's a strange schedule, this, a 2:30 on a Sunday when every other team's playing as well, so we're juggling all over the place. Of course, the 6-goal thriller between Hibs and Rangers, that will be tough to beat this afternoon.
I just wonder the reaction at 5 o'clock from the Rangers fans to what Philippe Clement's had to say, talking about defenders out, which is Gordon DL rightly said he didn't mention after he'd beaten Celtic, and concentrating on a penalty that was given by the referee, and clutching at straws for me. Clutch at a straw, but don't address the main story, which is you failed to capitalise on the win over Celtic. You continue to be a shambles on the road, and you're facing another game on the road Thursday night at Dundee.
Ross County are coming into this a bit, although they're 2-0 down. No, they're not 2-0 down, that's St Johnstone. County coming into the game at Kilmarnock, still goalless there, no real chances. It's quite end-to-end stuff. I'm fascinated at how Ross County have suddenly been able to do things on the road when they previously couldn't.
Incredible.
I mean, they waited months and months and months.
But how many times in here have we said on a Saturday when they were playing, you don't know what Ross County is going to turn up, and all of a sudden they go on a bit of a run. If they beat Kilmarnock today, they'll leapfrog Kilmarnock. It's incredible.
How good was Akil Wright's goal at Pittodrie?
Outstanding. That'll win goal of the month,
you
surely.
think so? Good goal, eh?
What's going to beat it? I know we've got a long time to go, but
we do have a long time to go. But
nothing will beat that.
Yeah.
In the snow as well.
You would have to think it was an early contender. It was very good, wasn't it?
It was good. No, what I loved was the fact that the pitch in the first half, and then there was no snow completely in the second half.
Cleared at half time.
But no, it was a terrific strike. And Don Cowie, you know, he's had a few poor results, and everybody fancied them to be a relegation problem. Look, if they get a good positive result today, I think he'd be over the moon and even take a point up.
I like Don Cowie. I think he's level headed. He never gets too high nor too low as well when they get beaten. They've taken some trouncings this year, but he's always honest and open. I think he's a good young manager, and things going his way at the minute, but he'll be well aware that he's got Hearts just behind him and a couple of bad results, and they can find themselves back in 11th.
Noah Chilvers didn't mean his goal at Pittodrie, did he?
Not a chance. And his celebration after it was farcical.
That back post.
Oh, come on. And what's the goalkeeper doing anyway to get beat by there? But to follow up with the old Palmer celebration, no, behave.
Right, we've reached the midway point of the first half in the 3 o'clock games. Nothing doing yet between Celtic and St Mirren. A similarly quiet day between Killie and Ross County and Dundee United Hearts. Maybe the New Year festivities catching up with people. But we do have goals for Dundee. They're 2-0 up at St Johnstone. We've reached the half-time mark at Fir Park. So we'll give you Fraser Wishop's half-time report in just a second.
Big questions for Jimmy Thielen.
We've got let's do another goal first.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
When Roger Hanna and Marvin Bartley pick their result of the weekend tomorrow, I wonder if they'll want to take a look at this. St Johnstone 0, Dundee 3. Lyle Cameron running cross, Josh Mulligan. Home fans are going crazy, as you would expect. That is turning into a rout. Let's get the half-time picture from Fir Park with Fraser.
Half-time at Fir Park, it's Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0. Not much happened early on in the game. Aberdeen with a better team. Motherwell supporters getting onto the players' back for too many mistakes. Motherwell then went 1-0 up, but the game then sprang into life just towards a break and swung away from Aberdeen, who had Slobodan Rubezic sent off for a challenge and a clash with Tony Watt. Then almost immediately Maswanisi scored a second goal for Motherwell. A cautious start by both, perhaps understandable given recent form. Aberdeen looked to get behind, use the pace. Motherwell making too many mistakes on the ball. 13th minute, the first effort from Duke straight at Oxford. Nisbet then headed a Mackenzie corner just over. A couple of early yellow cards, Dravkovsky and Maswanisi for Motherwell in 16 minutes. First shot by Motherwell, Maswanisi, left foot shot from 20 yards, easily gathered by Duhan. Then in 20 minutes, really bad miss at the back post by Dan Casey. The defender was free, only a couple of yards out. Lovely cross by Andy Halliday. It was perfect for the defender. He didn't even hit the target. The game then began to show a bit of life. Good save at the other end by Anton Oxford, pushed away a strong Nicky Devlin header from a Keskinen cross. The rhythm of the game slightly affected by a number of stoppages. Stuart Kettlewell frustrated as with the fans, with Nick Walsh. Kettlewell was yellow carded for 27 minutes. Then a spell of pressure for Motherwell began to create one or two chances. A shot pass to Tony Watt, who took too long, and then a chance was gone. The B then took the ball off Andy Halliday's toe just as the midfield player was about to shoot. But the goal came in 34 minutes, the opener. The BA did some really good work inside the box. Set up Tony Watt, low cross by the striker, missed everybody. It fell to Ewan Wilson running in at the back post. Really good finish, high into the net. It was young wing-back's first professional goal. But the game then changed the last couple of minutes of the half. Huge blow for Aberdeen, a clash between Rubezic and Watt on the sideline. It seemed to go head-to-head. Ref Nick Walsh gave Rubezic a red card. VAR Gavin Duncan took his time but confirmed the referee's decision. And less than a minute later, it was 2-0 to Motherwell. A long ball by Balmer, brilliant touch inside the box, and a low finish by Maswanisi to make it 2-0 to Motherwell. Aberdeen staring at another defeat and perhaps 10 without a win. A really big 45 minutes ahead, but it'll be hard with 10 men and a Motherwell team now with their tails up. Half time at Fir Park, Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0.
Well, your hometown team will be happy with that, Gordon DL.
Oh, they'll be over the moon. Got off to a slow burner, but it needed that goal, and certainly Motherwell made that home advantage count. It's a terrific finish from Wilson with that left foot. As much as he's near the goal, he's still got a lot to do. The goalkeeper and defenders there, they come out to throw themselves in front of it, and he bangs into the top of the net. And then the big changing point in the game, obviously sending off. 2-3 minutes later, the ball's in the back of the net. Great finish. Motherwell sitting very comfortable at half time, 2-0.
I think this half sums perfectly up what's gone wrong for Aberdeen, because Aberdeen started the strongest. They created one or two openings and then just looked like they lost belief. Motherwell, the amount of times Motherwell started getting in down Aberdeen's left between McDonald and McKenzie was incredible, and Tony Watt should have probably got a shot off in target just before Wilson scored, and it was, you know, a carbon copy of that chance. So they didn't learn their lessons. But then Rubezic, big turning point obviously. Rubezic puts his head maybe towards Tony Watt. I'm not convinced still it should have been a red card, but what makes it worse is the defending right after that. Take nothing away from Maswanisi, because his touch is brilliant, but you can't let a ball travel 60 yards to a centre forward and then not get any contact at all with him. So big problems for Jimmy Thelane. He's got a big team talk and big decisions to make if he changes the shape or not to get back in this.
I'm looking at the reaction of the Motherwell bench to the Rubezic red card, and I would take it that they're not cheats on the Motherwell bench. They're not trying to get an opponent sent off. They have been
right claim for everything, don't you?
But
players claim for everything.
Yeah, but the way they all come out, they're taken aback by it. I think it's a legitimate red card.
I'm disagreeing with that, and the reason I think that Tony Watt makes the most of that, right? His reaction, he throws himself back, and I'm a big fan of it, but he throws himself back, hands in the face. I do not think there's enough in that. I'm sorry, and Hugh's right. Okay, the reaction in Motherwell, you're always going to get that. See if it happened at the Aberdeen bench, it'd be the same reaction. We're not calling them the cheat. It's just a reaction because you're that caught up in the game. But not for me.
St Johnstone have made a double change on 28 minutes.
I like that.
Tells you the story.
I like that.
Essel and Kucheravi on for Smith and Raymond. The crowd at Celtic Park are starting to get a bit restless, according to Gabriel.
Yeah, because they were stunned by their team's gutless performance at Ibrox, and they have the Rangers result from earlier today to make them feel better. But what they wanted thereafter was Celtic to put in a commanding performance and an emphatic win and go 13 points clear with a goal difference which makes it 14 points. I go back to my core point. If you've got a multi-million squad like that, you want more out of them, and I'm not interested in stories about how young they are, how long they have to develop, this, that, the other. They expect more for the money that's been paid. You're supposed to get what you paid for.
I think the only point the guys were making is, if you take a wider view of it, 11 points clear might be what you're getting for what you paid for.
Up to a point, Gordon. But this is a club that wants to go forward. But this is a club who have young boys to play at Celtic Park to go into the second phase of the Champions League. A young boys side who have played 6 in the Champions League, lost all 6, scored 3 goals. So this is Celtic needing to get their finger out.
I think as well, with the money and all the money you spend, I don't think it guarantees you being 2 or 3 ahead by the 30-minute mark. I think, we'll see how this game pans out, and if this ends 0-0 or worse for Celtic, then you've probably got a legitimate point, because you shouldn't go really back-to-back performances like that. But if this ends up like a Motherwell or any other game that ends up 3 or 4-0 or a Hibs, then you go, well,
I hear the argument, Hugh, right, but it won't more. If they win the day, they go 13 points. They've lost 1 game. They've scored 52 goals already. They're on the verge of getting into the next round of the Champions League. It's very difficult to keep saying they want more. Where I think Hugh's right, maybe Celtic fans would have went along to Celtic Park today thinking fast start, right at St Mirren, put the disappointment of Rangers behind us, get a few goals. It's not happened. Celtic fans starting to get frustrated. But it's very hard to keep saying, I want more. Have a look at what they've achieved so far.
Well, no goals in that game yet. Similarly at Tannadice, although Craig Halkett's header has been cleared off the line, it was poor marking at the back post from Dundee United. There's a great save from Robbie McCrory to deny Connor Randall's curler as well. So those games remain goalless, as does the game at Celtic Park. Dundee have probably won that already, and Motherwell are 2-0 up at the break.
And if you're a Rangers fan, you're looking at that Motherwell, the St Johnstone Dundee scoreline and thinking, oh yeah, 3-0 for Dundee.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Celtic 1, St Mirren 0, and it is Nicholas Kuhn having a fantastic season. It was McCowan, he released Maeda down the left, cut across, you've seen the move before. Kuhn comes into the central area, first time finish, squeezes it under the returning Zach Hemming, and not so restless anymore. Celtic 1, St Mirren 0.
More.
He really has been brilliant, Kuhn, this year, hasn't he? And the only time he wasn't was on Thursday. It's so hard to stop when he comes in his left foot, but that's what we're talking about. Celtic just need to be patient. They don't need to win the game in the first 15-20 minutes, but they've got the quality to keep coming at you. And Kuhn, wonderful season, assists, goals. What more could you ask for from him?
15 for the season now, Hugh. It became boring a long time ago because yes, you doubted him, but you weren't the only one, to be fair. You maybe just did it more vociferously than other people, but 15 for the season. He is absolutely flying, and it's hard to almost find new ways of praising his contribution this season.
Yeah, and in terms of money spent, he was relatively cheap, but he has gone way up in value. This is a month where the Celtic fans will be hoping that nobody gets too interested in Nicholas Kuhn, because they'd far rather he stayed at Celtic Park. But as I say, he's another multi-million-pound player. Get what you pay for, and he is delivering what they have paid for.
It's a terrific first time finish, Mark. Maeda is tight by all accounts. I think he's going to be onside, but the finish is first time. I do wonder, Zach Hemming, he's just come back from Middlesbrough on loan. Ellery Balcomb's gone back to Brentford, so there's been a change in goal for St Mirren, and it goes straight under him.
Yeah, maybe a bit close to the goalkeeper, but what impresses me, the speed of Kuhn, the desire, and that's something that you've seen a big uplift in this season. We all know he had his medical issues with his teeth, and he lost weight apparently, but he looks powerful, he looks quicker this year, and you can certainly see that, and all the good stuff, all the goals he's scored and the assists. He just looks like he's got that burst of speed, and that's what gets him into such good positions to finish here.
Yeah, that's what Celtic needed. There's still another 10, 11, 12 minutes to go at half time. That settles the nerves, that settles everybody down. St Mirren will be looking for a big response, but you've got to say McGowan's ball through was excellent. Made a great run. That pace that he's got, if you leave space in behind, he's got to absolutely tear you apart with his pace. Great ball across, and the lads are quite right to say Kuhn, great finish.
The opposite side of it as well, Stephen Robinson, we're just chatting, saying they're hard to play against, they've got that physicality. He'll be frustrated where you do tick off the 30-minute mark and you go, well, we're on to something here, we've got 15 minutes, just get in. You'll lose a goal, it deflates you.
I think that's always is the frustration with this Celtic team, though, isn't it? Particularly at Celtic Park. Are you ever really likely to frustrate them the entire game? I suppose that would be.
You need
difficult.
a bit of luck, don't you?
Let's quickly go back to Fraser Wishart. A change at the break for Aberdeen, Fraser. Oh, there we go. I should just stop trying. He's a Motherwell legend, to be fair. He's a big favourite.
Waving at the fan from the box.
Yeah, he's doing a half-time draw. Let him get back up the stair.
I did say I wonder if Jimmy Thielen would change his shape or change personnel to get back in this, and it looks like he has.
Yeah, Fraser making a change.
Yeah, there seems to be a change. I can see Palaversa looks like he's going to come on. I think Nielsen will go back into the back four as well. So yeah, I think Jimmy Thielen's got it all to do here. How do you change? Leighton Clarkson's coming on as well.
Yeah, the second half just about to get underway there. I think Polvara, Clarkson coming on. It's one of those, Gordon, if you can score one, it still might make it a bit nervy. You ask serious questions of Motherwell. I don't think Motherwell are so good that you would completely rule it out, would you?
Yeah, but you go back to that, if you score one, and the evidence of the first half, after they went down to 10 men, they didn't look like scoring. That's why he's obviously made the changes. He's got to go for it. But when you push forward, you're 2-0 down, 10 men, you're away from home, remember, your form's been very, very poor. You'd imagine Motherwell, with the firepower up front, the way they're playing, will go and pick you off.
Well, we have a spectacular example of a team coming from 2 down earlier on today. So can Jimmy Thielen's Aberdeen do what David Gray's Hibs did at Easter Road? But there will come a point They had better have a good transfer window in January, Aberdeen, because they've gone a quarter of the season without winning a match. That cannot be acceptable to anyone.
I'll keep saying it just in case people are just joining us and you think something is wrong with your clock. That Motherwell Aberdeen game kicked off at 2:30, so worth bearing that in mind. So we're into the second half there now. Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0, and Slobodan Rubezic sent off for a headbutt, would you call it that, on Tony Watt.
Well, he motioned his head towards Tony Watt twice. He put jam on it, and I stand by what I said. The reaction of the Motherwell bench was more than just knee-jerk. They were pointing at Rubezic and all sorts going on, and I think he's done enough.
Did you think they were going around down and say, ref, never a sending off, never a sending off?
I'm with you with Tony Watt's reaction. Firstly, I think he instigates it by standing over Rubezic. Now, Rubezic doesn't help himself, of course, by getting up and kind of stooting and motioning his head towards Tony Watt, but you clearly see Tony throwing himself back, so he's played his part in it. But what you have to say is the fourth official is standing 2 yards away from it. We've seen a couple of camera angles. He's got the best view, and I think everyone knows arguably the most frustrating amongst the many aspects of VAR is the clear and obvious error thing. You know, once that's been given, can you totally contradict it? Can you prove that it is a clear and obvious error to produce the red card? Some people do just shrug their shoulders at that and say yes, and don't worry about the kind of detail, if you like. But it does become a different test. It's like what we said with the Hadji penalty.
Well, it becomes a matter of opinion, doesn't it? Because you look at Hugh there saying that he's adamant that it's a red. Mark and I sort of don't agree with that.
As an example, you know, you probably need VAR in that instance then, because you two, and I get it, but Tony Watt's reaction isn't necessarily relevant. What you need VAR to prove is that there's absolutely no contact or something like that. Do you know what I mean? You can't say I don't really like the way Tony Watt's gone down, so therefore we'll take the red card back. It's just not how it works, is it?
Look, I think the Aberdeen player puts himself in a poor position. He does it. Tony's sort of wound him up. We've all been there in football. He's reacted and he's paid the penalty for it, and then obviously 2 minutes later his team pays the penalty for it because the ball's in the back of the net, 2-0, and at this moment in time Motherwell on the easy street.
Did Tony Watt con the referee?
I'll let Mark answer it.
What you learned? Answer it.
There is my answer.
Yes.
You're saying he conned the referee?
There is no way anyone in this world could say that the force Rubezic gave Tony Watt made him get in that fashion.
That's true, but then does that make it not a red card?
No, Hugh asked, did he con the referee, Tony Watt? Yes, because he went down so easily. But I'm with Dad. Rubezic shouldn't have put himself in the position. It's almost like, remember Zidane's headbutt in that World Cup final? You're going to get sent off for motioning your head. Do it properly like Zizou.
Well, Charlie Mulgrew's on television duty at Fir Park.
He's
he was
a master.
Involved in a famous one, wasn't he?
Yeah, Ibrox.
Kyle Lafferty. So Aberdeen now playing with no recognised centre backs because Rubezic was sent off and McDonald was taken off along with Kevin Nisbet at the break. So Nelson and Polvara, midfielders, are playing at centre back.
So you're an Aberdeen fan, you just in the car up to Newhouse on the motorway, boom. Yeah,
not everyone's like you.
Yeah, well, there's nothing.
But I do think, Gordon, that the Aberdeen fans will react in a negative way very, very soon, because you cannot have a club of Aberdeen stature go 10 games without winning any.
Completely hypothetical. Just humour me, because it's been a long weekend. Would he make it to the end of the season regardless? Like, absolutely. Doesn't win another game until the end of the season.
Yes.
Does he still make it to the end of the season?
Yeah, I've got to think
I agree with that. I agree with that.
I know football's mad, but
what's saving him is that he's...
Oh, hold on, Hugh. I'm keen to hear your answer on this, believe me, but...
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Goal for Celtic, and it is Austin Trusty back in the team where most people were keen to study his defending, but it's at the other end. It's so simple. It's Arnie Ingles in swinging corner, Austin Trusty scores, simple as that, and that changes everything, because even 1-0 Stephen Robinson, you maybe take it and you move on to your half-time team talk, but 2-0 down at the break, that's a long way back.
Sure is. And I looked at the table at that point, because I was about to say of Jimmy Talleen, what's saving him is that St Mirren are 7 points behind Aberdeen and will remain so, obviously, because both of them are going to lose today. However, Motherwell, when they win this match, will be only 4 points behind Aberdeen. Now, the point at which Motherwell leapfrog Aberdeen is the point at which Jimmy Talleen's in real bother, because you can't have Aberdeen in 5th place.
Yeah, I mean, Celtic doubling their advantage, Mark. If you're Stephen Robinson, all managers do, right? But particularly him, they pride themselves on certain things, and for Austin Trusty to be as free as he was, maybe 4 yards out or something, it's
incredible.
But fair play to Austin Trusty. Good ball, Arnie Ingles.
You know what, there was a time not so long ago that Celtic just never scored from set pieces, and now they're making a habit of it. Good delivery again from Ingles into a dangerous area at the front of 6-yard box, and it couldn't get any easier for Trusty just to nod that away. But good for him. You know, never good when you're sitting at the team for a long period, especially off the back of a cup final being substituted. You get your chance to come back in and you top it off with a goal. So plain sailing now, I believe, for Celtic. Brendan Rodgers will be happy with that scoring going into half time.
Oh yeah, and I think Celtic fans will be happy as well. Good reaction. I know that you're talking about the defending in St Mirren. I think the quality's on the ball coming in, and Trusty's strong. He makes himself a bit of space, and it's the easiest header he'll get. Obviously you don't think there's any way back for St Mirren, but you're talking about Aberdeen there, right? About would you sack the manager? They've not won in the last 10, and I don't see them do it. They're still in 4th place. It's incredible.
Yeah, but it's not though. That's just how, you know, you can win your games in any order. He's got a 50% win rate. If you win half your games, you will be there. You will be up at that. Add your draws onto that, so you will be there.
Yeah, but
it's a good win percentage. I saw Jim Goodwin's the other day, and it's at 50% as well at Dundee United, and that's the third best that Dundee United have had. So if you compare that to Aberdeen, then you're fine until the end of the season at least.
I mean, if you don't win another game, they're on 34 points just now, they'll draw some, they'd stay up, it'd be fine.
I don't think any chance that he would lose his job. I think they think
no, but I was
high.
joking about how like genuinely, is there anything that could happen that he gets the sack this season?
A 7-0 or something against a team,
St Johnstone,
after a bad run.
Would you be in any way bothered, Gordon, at Motherwell 2-up, man advantage, and not quite controlling the second half?
Yeah, I think the Motherwell manager Kettlewell will be a bit bothered as well. Especially, you've got to use the width of the pitch when you've got a man advantage. You've got to make sure you move Aberdeen about, be patient, and then you'll open them up. But Aberdeen have nothing to lose, so they're trying to throw everything at Motherwell. And Motherwell are sort of giving the ball away cheaply as well. So I think they've got to get a third goal, because you're right, Gordon. See if Aberdeen do score, and you look at the goalkeeper, if Aberdeen do score, it's a bit nervy.
Half time, Celtic Park. Here's Gabriel.
Celtic 2, St Mirren 0 at the interval, and it was that man Nicholas Kuhn again who broke the deadlock, scoring his 15th of the season after about half an hour. Then Austin Trusty headed in just before the break after making his return to the starting lineup. As things stand, Celtic are going 13 points clear at the top. Now, Brendan Rodgers' side started brightly, especially down Kuhn's right flank, but they just weren't clicking in the final third, not making the returning Zach Hemming in the St Mirren goal work at all. The crowd started to get a little bit restless as he approached the half-hour mark. They expected the team to be buoyed by that Rangers draw earlier on, but when you've got Kuhn in your team, there's nothing to worry about. It was Luke McCarron in midfield that freed Dazen Maeda down the left. The Japanese winger took a touch and put it across, and the German was there. Nice finish, the ball just squirming under Hemming in the goal. Then just before half-time, Arne Engels with a lovely in-swing corner from the left-hand side. The American international Austin Trusty there to head in across the goal and into the back of the net. Celtic not been their fluid best, but they are comfortable here. They'll hope to rack up some more goals in the second half as they aim to re-extend their lead at the top. Half-time at Parkhead, Celtic 2, St Mirren 0.
All a bit routine, that, Hugh Keevins.
Yeah, they got there in the end. When you said to me earlier on, after about 25 minutes at Celtic Park, crowd began to get a bit restless. Then you begin to wonder. But we're 2 up, they're a shoe in now.
We'll get Dave Galloway's half-time report as well, but something I missed a few moments ago, maybe about 5 minutes ago. Dundee United, I had to double check the score because it's still 0-0, isn't it? Against Hearts. They've made a double change in the first half.
Well,
Jim Goodwin not hanging around. Docherty and Van der Sande on for Odada and Thompson.
He made a change at half-time in the Dundee derby, but that's surprising.
Yeah, I mean, they were losing and it was half-time. To make a double change when you're 0-0 in the fair play, I don't mind the attempted ruthlessness, Gordon, as long as it works.
I like it. There's no point in looking at a game and you're not happy with it, and then all of a sudden waiting to half time, maybe lose a goal, you're 1-0 down. So good management.
Being proactive, I think, is a good sign.
Yeah. Anyway, Mark, the only half-time whistle that's gone is Celtic Park. I said to Hugh, is that just straightforward, routine, professional? Call it what you want. Is it that type of category?
Well, it seems that way, but I'm pretty sure the standards that Brendan Rodgers drives, he still will be looking for more in the second period. I think it's going to plan so far. When you get Kuhn, your player of the season arguably, and Trusty, someone you've brought back into the side scoring, then it's all looking good. I guess for the ones that have come into the side, guys like McCown maybe need 90 minutes under their belt rather than just the usual 60 minute substitution with him, so might be a good opportunity for that, but I'm sure he'll be pleased with the reaction he's got so far.
I agree. I think it was all about picking up the 3 points. Yeah, everybody wants to see a good performance, plenty of goals. I think Celtic will add to that lead in the second half. And also, Mark's talking about who's he going to keep on 90 minutes. He's got plenty of options on the bench, and usually when they make substitutions, they come on, make an impact. So I think it's got to be a long second half for St Mirren.
Yeah, I wonder what Stephen Robinson's message will be, and if Brendan Rodgers is particularly keen to see his players up it. But they are 2-0 up, as Gabriel outlined, barring a major turnaround in the second half. That 14-point lead that everyone was talking about, well, it'll be 13, wouldn't it, at the end of the day? So
but goal difference even better than it was at the start of the day.
It is half time between Kilmarnock and Ross County. David Friel.
Half time, Kilmarnock 0, Ross County 0. Goalless at the break, but John Cowie will be the happier manager, with Ross County having the best efforts on goal as they chase another win on the road. Kelly were without injured captain Kyle Vassell before the match, and they suffered a blow after just 3 minutes when his replacement, Innes Cameron, also had to limp off. Marley Watkins coming on in his place. He still carried a decent threat early on. Kelly, Fraser Murray, David Watson both having efforts on goal. Didn't hit the target, but it looked pretty promising. But County settled and have definitely been the better team for the rest of the half. In 12 minutes, Josh Nisbet found space in the edge of the box and forced a good save from Robbie McCrory. Kelly still had a fair bit of the ball, but just couldn't break down the County defence. Up the other end, McCrory was again forced into a brilliant save, this time from Conor Randall's Cullen shot, which had looked destined for the top corner. Derek McInnes has been pretty animated on the sidelines and will be demanding a lot more from his side, who have yet to register a shot on target. Half time, Kilmarnock 0, Ross County 0.
And we'll give you the remaining half time reports after these.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Half time in the 3 o'clock games. We've given you some of the half time reports so far. We've reached 63. Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0. Aberdeen down to 10 from the first half, but the Dons looking the better side, you have to say. So maybe we've got a big storyline on our hands here. Let's get the half time story from St Johnstone Dundee with Roger Hannah.
Half time in Perth, Gordon. St Johnstone 0, Dundee 3, and the home side jeered off by Saints fans after a dismal first half derby display that's seen their relegation fears multiply. They were behind after just 3 minutes. Sean Adewumi swung in a routine free kick from the left. Josh Ray came off his line, caught the ball, then dropped it. There was a wild swing by Dree Wright trying to clear it, but it fell to Simon Murray, and he guided a low shot into the opposite corner to give Dundee the perfect start after their derby dismay against United on Thursday. It was 2-0 after 10 minutes. Seb Palmer Holden scoring another set piece delivery. This time reached Clark Robertson at the back post. He knocked it back across the face of goal, and there was two dark blues waiting for a tap in at the far post, with Palmer Holden reaching it first and knocked the ball into the empty net. 2-0 became 3 in 22 minutes. An absolutely terrific run down the right hand side by Josh Mulligan. He knocked in a perfect cross. Adewumi had a missed kick at the front post, but Lyle Cameron was in behind him and he took a touch before finishing back across Ray for 3-0. As the St Johnstone fans jeered Valakari, the manager made a double substitution in 28 minutes. Off went Matt Smith and Andre Raymond. On came Aaron Essel and Match Kucheravi. It briefly stemmed the flow towards Ray's goal, but he needed to make a fine save to deny Palmer Holden his second and Dundee's fourth just before the break as the one-way traffic continued. Absolutely dismal for the Saints at half time. They look as if they could be heading for the championship in this form. St Johnstone 0, Dundee 3.
Well, what about last season's third force versus the team in third at the moment? You've got Dundee United against Hearts, watched by Dave Galloway.
Half time, Dundee United 0, Hearts 0 on the balance of play. The visitors really should be ahead at the interval. Both teams went on the attack from the off, but Hearts took control. Boyce's shot from a few yards out was charged down. Drame got a sight of goal, but his effort was easily saved by Walton, and Boyce lashed his shot from a tight angle and it clipped the crossbar on its way past. United had a couple of chances. Holt shot past from just inside the box, and Odada passed up a good opportunity from Strain's free kick into the box. He just could not connect properly with a header and the danger was cleared. Hearts almost took the lead when Spittle's corner found Halkin at the back post in splendid isolation, but his header was cleared off the line. Things not going the Tangerines' way at all, and that was highlighted with a double substitution. Docherty and Van der Sand on for Odada and Thompson. Half time, Dundee United 0, Hearts 0.
And the second halves of the 3 o'clock games are coming up next.
The fastest goals, the expert opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard. The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lookers Group. The Lookers Big Event. Thousands of great value used vehicles ready to drive away.
Quick question. Well, actually 3, but they are quick. 1. Do you have a car? 2. Are you looking to save on your car insurance? And 3. Do you have a Tesco Club Card? Well, if you do, you could get exclusive Club Card prices when you take out or renew a policy with Tesco Car Insurance. And with 3 levels of cover available, you can choose the one that's right for you. Over 1 million Club Card members are already saving money. So just search online for Tesco Car Insurance.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lookers Group. Great value used vehicles with extra peace of mind built in. The fastest goals, the expert opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson and Gordon Dalziel are here. They're in the studio. The top team are at the games that are ongoing. We've had one finished at Easter Road. I'd love to get your thoughts on that later. Rangers fans, not too far away. We'll open the phones and let us know how you're feeling after that disappointment, on the back, of course, of the success against Celtic. Plenty more reaction to come from the managers. We had a 2:30 kick-off. Hope we're keeping up with the scheduling. Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0. Aberdeen have been down to 10 men for ages, but have actually done quite well in the second half. So we'll see if there is any life left in that one. Celtic 2-0 up at the break, just restarting. No changes there. Dundee United and Hearts is goalless. Killyross County's goalless. St Johnstone 0, Dundee 3. So we're getting there, Hugh. An interesting day of football, partially done, and with more stories to be written, hopefully, as Aberdeen hit the crossbar.
Well, the big story so far has been Rangers imploding at Easter Road, having been 2 up after 20 minutes, and everyone expecting them to kick on from the Celtic result and performance. But the big hitters went off. The changes were made by Philippe Clement to hold on to a 3-2 lead, and they still contrived to blow it. And the Rangers fans, I would guess at 5 o'clock, to a man, woman and child, will be looking for the head of Philippe Clement. But I don't think they're going to get it. However, it's another indication that Rangers, when push gets to shove, don't have it.
Not something you hear too often at Celtic Park, but a slight delay because the floodlights have gone out. But they're back on and the game gets underway again. That'll be the backup generator kicking in or something like that. I don't really know what I'm talking about.
Millions of pounds on those lights.
No, that's the disco.
That's the disco one today.
I don't know if they're different. I have no idea.
Well, you don't see that often. I'm sure I went to a game years and years ago when I was a kid at Celtic Park and the floodlights failed. You'll know that, will you not?
Talking about new managers and how much goodwill they have in the tank and how quickly can things turn sour, how's Simo Valakari faring amongst the Perth locals, Roger?
Well, he's not going to be their manager of the month, I don't think. Some fearful stick for the Finn in the first half. St Johnstone way off the pace. 3 down to Dundee. It could be more. He made a couple of changes after 28 minutes. And he took off Andre Raymond, he took off Matt Smith. Frankly, he could have taken off any of the 11 of them. They have been very poor. I go back about 15 months, I think it was in the autumn of last season, Gordon, our colleague David Friel guaranteed us St Johnstone would be relegated. He was spot on, he just picked the wrong season.
Football, it has its ups and downs. There's the players who kiss the badge and kiss the club goodbye, right after you've splashed out £100 to get their name on your kit. And the A-list striker who always sticks it in row Z. The good news is the Ladbrokes Acca gives you auto insurance, free bets back and big odds boosts. So whatever else lets you down, it won't be your Acca. It's a gaffer of an Acca from Ladbrokes.
18 plus, online and mobile. Minimum odds apply. Maximum 1 to 3 £10 free bets per customer per day. Up to £50 of boosted odds. Restrictions and T&Cs apply. BeGambleAware.org. Take time to think.
Well, we will see. It is a long way back today and potentially a long way back for the remainder of the season as well. Looking at the table before today, St Johnstone were 5 points adrift, although Hearts, there's still the potential for them to lose that game. Maybe Ross County do. That's why it's still a big second 45 ahead. Gordon Dalziel.
Yeah, you've got to look at St Johnstone, and if you've got any chance of staying in this league, you've got to try and win your home games. Great opportunity today against Dundee, but all credit to Dundee. They've went up there and probably made easy work of it. Looks like that 3 points has come back down the road with them. Hearts and Dundee United are a good game. Jim Goodwin's made those changes. I wonder if it's worked for him, but I would imagine Hearts over a piece will have enough in their locker. And I'm just looking at this Motherwell Aberdeen game, Gordon, and from a Motherwell point of view, I wouldn't like Aberdeen to score because they've been the better team the second half with 10 men.
The Leighton Clarkson shot off the crossbar was stunning, Mark Wilson, and he's very unlucky.
Oh, very unlucky indeed. It just cuts across it. What is he, about 20 odd yards out, just in a slight angle. Has the Motherwell goalkeeper Oxborough beaten, all ends up. It comes off the bar. But there has been a few opportunities for Aberdeen. They have been the better side, even though they've got a man less. But still, it remains 2-0. That has been the problem for Aberdeen, that they have created chances in this barren run of no wins. They have created plenty of chances. They just struggle to put those chances away and turn them into goals, and it's proven the case again today.
Is there a subconscious thing, Gordon? Because I know Motherwell got the break with the red card, but they actually were the better team up until that point. They were the better team in the first half and probably due their lead, and then it's all gone a bit flat.
It's a strange one because they're at home, they're 2-0 up, they're Aberdeen down to 10 men. You think they were comfortable, you think they'd go out, be patient, dominate the game. It's a great saying as a coach, make the pitch as big as you possibly can, try and stretch the 10 men of Aberdeen. But all credit to Aberdeen, they've went very attackful.
Well,
as Motherwell got a good chance there.
Maswanisi just slides one past the post. I wonder, Mark, if he could have waited and let his teammate join in on the overlap.
Maybe his teammate was trying to get round him, but I you know what, I quite like Maswanisi. He doesn't hang about, does he? When he gets the ball and he shifts it at his feet, he connects with it pretty quickly, much like the goal he scored against Rangers, only a wee bit further out this time at the edge of the box. That shifts it to the right, hits it really quickly, just doesn't get that bend on it. But Stuart Kettlewell could do with his third goal just to kill this off as a contest.
A couple of changes for Aberdeen a few moments ago. Morrison, McGarry on, Keskinen and McKenzie off. Shayden Morris's pace can cause issues.
He's lucky he's still on. He had a poor challenge on a Motherwell player, which I thought the referee might have had a closer look at, but I just get the feeling that Motherwell, although they haven't shone in the second half, I get the feeling they'll be good for the 2-0 win.
Well, you look at the start of the game, if you'd have said to the Motherwell manager, I'll give you a 2, you'd have snapped his hands off. So yeah, it's not been pretty in the second half, But all credit to Aberdeen. They've got a lot of attacking players on. They've got a bit of pace on the pitch. They've caused Motherwell a few problems, but it's all about 3 points this afternoon, especially after a disappointing 1-0 defeat at Tynecastle.
What's the second half got in store at Celtic, Mark? Is there an expectation that they really put their foot to the floor?
Well, there always will be with a home crowd, isn't there? When they go 2-0 up and it looks easy, often not enough for the Celtic fans. They want to be entertained. They want to see more goals in the game. They want to see Ida, who's been given an opportunity to score. They want to see, Maeda add his tally this year. They would love to see McCown score. So it's never quite done. That's the one thing with Celtic Park. They don't just sit in their hands, do they?
No, Brendan Rodgers will bring on Paulo Bernardo and Hatate and Kyogo. And at that point, Stephen Robinson will look up to the sky and say, why me?
Sam Nicholson and Tom Sparrow coming on for Motherwell. Tawanda Maswanisi going off, Davor going off as well. So just freshening things up, trying to see out this game.
Yeah, I think that was the same substitutions he brought Nicholson, Sparrow on against Rangers. So he's obviously given a bit of change, a bit of different variety, and hopefully he can get the next goal, as the guy said. I don't think they're in any danger unless they lose a goal here as they go through. As Tony Watt,
he's trying to bundle his way through. It was actually a nice move from Motherwell, but gathered by the goalkeeper in the end. Good save, Zach Hemming. Luke McCowan's shot deflected off Ida actually and was heading goal bound. Zach Hemming, like we said, returned to St Mirren. He's been there before, back on loan from Middlesbrough as Ellery Balcombe goes back to Brentford. So a changing goal for the Saints.
If you read you'll know better than me, he's a striker and you get your chance, Kyogo's ahead of you in the pecking order, you must be desperate to score. It must get to 50 minutes or something. You must be thinking, come on, just one fall for me.
Yeah, especially at home, Mark, against St Mirren, where you're big favourites to go and win, and probably win comfortable after the disappointment of Thursday. Yeah, 100%. If I was Ida, I'm thinking, I need to score a goal here. I need to be on the goal scoring sheet. I've got to get a chance to go and get my name forward again, because obviously Kyogo is a number one striker, and all you can do to put pressure on him is every time you get the opportunity to score goals.
Jimmy Talleen getting ready to commit more subs. It's getting to last chance saloon time for him in terms of this match. So
never get that though. I don't know what you think, but Jimmy Thaleen's consulting his goalkeeping coach here. What do you think he's consulting him about a sub? Craig Hinchcliffe. And Hinchy's, I've worked with Hinchy at Dundee United, good guy and that, but Hinchy's nodding away. Yep, I agree.
That's the way to go. Let's go with a dime in the middle of the park there, Gaffer.
What is he saying to him?
That's a difficult one. I never ever went to my goalkeeping coach. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've seen that before. I've never went to my goalkeeping coach when I was manager.
Former Motherwell goalkeeping coach as well, is he
not?
He
was, aye. He's been about, hasn't he?
Aberdeen making another sub. Ante Palaversa off, Peter Ambrose on. So, throwing another striker on there, trying to.
Did Palaversa not come on?
No, that was Polvara. Which is annoying that they have very similar names.
Yes. He's certainly going for it, and he's got a lot of attacking players on that pitch. I'd be disappointed Motherwell can't now go and pick them off, because obviously they'll throw everything at Motherwell, try to get that goal to put a bit of pressure on them, but surely Motherwell with the advantage will go and pick them off here.
Well, 10 minutes of the 90 remaining, and Motherwell have made
here we go
changes. Jack Vale is the man scampering down. And he's done brilliantly. If he's onside, what a terrible miss that is. That is a dreadful miss from Sam Nicholson. If he's onside, that is a huge let off for Aberdeen. Jack Vale does brilliantly, skips down the left, he picks out Nicholson with a great first time.
Offside.
Yeah, still a bad miss, but he's offside.
Yeah, it's a bad miss, and I'll tell you what, it's a bad run, because he doesn't need to be offside. He can see the defender in front of him. Hold your run up, make it easy, but he'll be delighted that flag went up and save his embarrassment.
That was not ideal, but anyway, Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0. Will it be the case, Mark, that even if Celtic don't necessarily add to this and blow St Mirren away, there will be scope there to keep that rotation going, and maybe Kyogo does get on and get a goal? And
it's quite often the case, isn't it?
Tati, who had a tough day on Thursday.
You know what? I would tend to try and leave guys like that. I would guess if I was Engels or McCowan, I'd want to stay on the pitch. If he's going to replace anybody, why not replace your captain and give those two guys 90 minutes? Probably the same with Ida as well. I would try and give Ida 90 minutes. I mean, you can't underestimate how important that is to get that in your system. So if Kyogo was coming on, he can play it elsewhere. He will make changes. He's got plenty of options, but it's just interesting to see who he thinks needs rested, who he thinks needs minutes.
He's fortunate in respect of the fact that he's got so many home games. He's got Dundee United midweek, Celtic Park in the league. He's got Young Boys in the Champions League at Celtic Park. He's got Kilmarnock in the Scottish Cup at Celtic Park, all of which come this month. And I think they need to build momentum and get more out of players, whether that means either playing for 90 minutes in a consecutive number of games or whatever it is, but they've got Celtic Park to rely on this month, and they've got to take full advantage of that.
Yeah, that's what we said, Gordon, the last few days. Even if you didn't believe there was a title race on, you still looked at the aftermath of the game at Ibrox, where Celtic were coming home, comforts against St Mirren. There's no doubt going to Easter Road was harder. Rangers still now need to go to Dens midweek.
Yeah, there are obviously a lot of problems at the back as well, especially with Sterling going off. King coming on, who's not had a lot of football, you've got to say. Middle to front, I think Rangers are okay. I think they've their flair players in there that can score. They've scored 3 goals today in Edinburgh and walked away with 1 point. So there's a bit of work to be done. Dundee, obviously, up at St Johnstone, doing very well. Always difficult at Dens. So it's up to Rangers to go up there and show character.
Motherwell trying to finish this game, and they've got themselves in some great areas against 10 men and just not quite managed it. Don't even know who that, in the end, it was a kind of left-footed swing from the edge of the box, but they had bodies in forward areas.
Aberdeen are at that stage now, just anybody back, just defend.
You know what, I was looking at them there in their fixtures and their score lines, and I'm thinking, when was the last time they kept a clean sheet? Aberdeen, it was way back against Dundee United way back in October, but I was thinking a lot of their good work was done defensively in the first part of the season. Wasn't it really? They've only had 3 clean sheets all season. I can't believe that. I just assumed that they got themselves into a position because they were so good defensively, and they haven't been. So that's a real problem that needs to be fixed, because they're easy to play against now. They're easy to score against.
Still goalless between Dundee United and Hearts. The closest there was Blair Spittle. He's hit a 30-yard free kick off the bar. A fantastic effort from a man who's got that in his locker, has shown it in recent seasons.
Against his ex-club, once of Dundee United.
Took your place.
He did take my place when he came in. That was my retirement due.
He took
well,
your
Jackie
signed
him.
Blair Spittle.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Along the so Andy Robertson was there, but the following season he signed Blair Spittle and Aidan Connolly, and Blair played as a right back.
Does that not sum up how bad you were then? A right back who's really a midfield player takes your position.
Well, 1 week he played right back, the other week he played left wing.
Well, someone told me this, and I've not had the chance to double check it, but they're usually reliable, that if Dundee United win today, it would be their first 4 in a bounce Premiership wins since 2013 when you were playing.
Of course I was playing. I knew that. I brought much success
Dundee
to Dundee United.
1, Ross County 0. Cherniack, Gunning, Wilson, Suter, Robertson, Payton, Rankin, Armstrong, Mackay-Stephen, Gold and Brian Graham.
And they all went on to have good careers.
See what I taught them. I would just come to the tail end, winding down.
Yeah,
there you go. What a team. Just think of the Masters team in a couple of years' time with those names.
I'm just hoping Dumbarton don't get in that.
Motherwell have turned to him again to see out the
I'll tell you what, that 2 very significant changes that for Motherwell, because Paul McGinn, who is the captain, one of the most experienced and best players, quite frankly, in the team, he has been out injured for quite some time, so he comes on. He's not played since the 5th of October, so great to see him back involved. And the other one, even more dramatic in terms of the length of absence. Yes, Paul McGinn's probably got more of a regular contribution, if you like, to the first team, but Callum Slattery has been out injured for an incredible amount of time. And these players go out of sight, out of mind, Gordon. You forget just how tough that must be. He's not played since, in fact, it is 1 year and 3 days since Callum Slattery played for Motherwell.
Yeah, I was not that long ago. I was sitting with the chief exec, Brian Caldwell, having a coffee, and he was talking about the injury list Motherwell had and went through, and you just don't realise how
a year.
That's
ridiculous.
And do you know something? A big miss is Paul McGinn, my friend from Germany. He still talks about it to this day, and that's great to see him back because he's a captain, he's a leader as well.
Triple change for Celtic, for St Mirren, at Celtic Park. Ayunga, Smith and Oseni on. O'Hara, Olusanya and Kilty off. Still 2-0, so I mean,
St Mirren have got good options, haven't they? They've built a good squad.
Oseni's a new signing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's still a bit of jeopardy in that for Celtic unless they get the third goal and just kill it off. But we all know what it's like. 2-0 up, you concede one. Gets a bit shaky after that.
We're still waiting the breakthrough. Dundee United 0, Hearts 0. The same story, Kilmarnock, Ross County. We do have goals elsewhere. Dundee, is there an inevitability, Hugh, sometimes when you go 3-0 up after whatever it was, extremely early, that the foot comes off the gas a bit?
Yeah, always. Players subconsciously do it, I think, and Tony Docherty will not be happy with that. But I repeat, to be 3 up on a day when Rangers have been held to a 3-3 draw and have to go to Dundee on Thursday night short on supplies, no Dujon Sterling, we would imagine, certainly no Raskin, who's suspended, certainly no Proper, who's suspended, and they're up against it, Rangers.
It'll be a tough one for them on Thursday, no doubt about it. And you often get memories of what happened last time you were at a ground, and remember back to last season, the disappointing result that they got there. So it's going to be a tough one. Philip Clement needs to pick his side up quickly to get him prepared for that.
Want to hear more from him?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear what he had to say. A bit on squad depth here, and of course back to that penalty incident.
For the moment we don't have the depth to keep the same level with all the players, so you try to make changes or to create back this quality. But you saw that Giannis was getting tired, that Nedim was getting tired, that Vatsaf was getting tired. So that's normal also after all the series of games that they played until now. But still then, I'm confident if we don't get this penalty against, that Hibs don't come back into the game, because that momentum was for them really, really important to create belief in for them again. They have a really good period. They played really well last couple of weeks, but we really dominated this game. And they get a lot of belief out of this penalty. I asked to the referees why they see it's a penalty, because I need to explain that also to my players. That's an important thing. We don't agree in that way. We will see how at the panel and Willie Cullen will say about that. Because if these things will be a penalty, then there will be a lot of penalties this season and the year to come in Scotland, I think.
Deflection. We'll see what Willie Cullen has to say. I mean, the Rangers fans aren't buying all of this. And you know, he's just an excuse machine, and he's put in the bit about tiredness. He's always on about tiredness, and the Rangers fans don't have that either. They're not having that at all, and confident that if there was no penalty, there would have been no loss of points. Well, how do you know that? So I'm afraid it's a poor press conference from Philippe Clement, and at the end of a poor day for his team.
I'm disappointed he didn't touch on it. 100 messages in his phone about the penalty kick,
and all of Europe's talking about it.
I agree. I don't look, I'm not against this man. I don't think he helps himself sometimes. He just gets onto something, he keeps talking about this penalty. He would have been screaming from the heavens if that was up the other end.
I think it's certainly a debatable one. There's no doubt about it. But I don't know if it falls into the category of, you know, can't wait to hear what the panel think, or, you know, some sort of scandal.
Not to that extent, Gordon.
I said this the other night, the KMI panel, if he's talking about Willie Collum, I think there is a VAR review this week. Let me check my diary. But, you know, that's maybe different because you hear the full explanation, you hear the VAR audio. The KMI panel, we end up tying ourselves in knots with it and acting like it's gospel. I mean, the KMI panel thought that the goal that Motherwell scored against Rangers should have stood for the foul on Jack Butland. So you're going to get swings and roundabouts with those ones.
As I say, it's all about deflection. Address the core issue, which is that you had the chance to build up some kind of optimistic momentum after beating Celtic, and at the very next hurdle you fell on your backside.
See, just to be fair, something I'm going to double check, because we all took it as gospel because it said it on the TV, and I wouldn't dream of questioning my TV colleagues, but I do wonder if Proper definitely is suspended for midweek. I know it said it is, but is it not the sort of 7 days after the, you know, like Raskin as an example, got booked against Celtic, played today, and misses Dundee? I'd need to double check just in case we've got that one wrong. 5 minutes added at Fir Park. We're already 2 into it.
A tackle that is from Casey.
Yeah, good.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
I did tell you to stop speaking, to be fair, but I just really liked your yeah good before we moved on. And Celtic have stretched the lead. It's now 3-0 against St Mirren, and it's Nicholas Kuhn again. He squeezes in Engels with a back heel. It somehow makes its way to Nicholas Kuhn and into the net, and once it goes 3, that moves into very comfortable territory.
And moves into territory when you say, right, Nicholas, come on off, and we'll keep you for what's to come, Dundee United midweek, etc, etc, etc. So you think the subs would start to come on now for Brendan Rodgers?
Yeah, he is one that they have to look after, especially with the big games coming in Europe around the corner. He is a go-to man at the minute, but another good afternoon for him. And like I said in the first half, you don't need to win the game in 20 minutes, but if you end up running out 3 or 4-0 winners, then what really more can you ask for? So a good response from Celtic after a disappointing week. What a backlash over their performance, and rightly so, but they've answered it the right way.
I think this game, it always had 3 or 4 written all over it. It was just a case of when Celtic scored, they got them before half time, they've come out, they'll make more changes. I expect them to score another goal or two, I really do.
How could you bet against it, Hugh? That would be the thing. You know, we mentioned Motherwell, we've seen this before. It's not that Celtic are irresistible, but how could you bet against this team adding to it? There's still 25 minutes left probably when all said and done.
As I say, Paulo Bernardo, Hatate, Kyogo,
I think you see Palma maybe. You know, I think games like this is important, that when else are you going to play him, because you can't really trust him. He came on at Tannadice, but it's a perfect opportunity. Go and give him something to build on and see what he can produce.
I think Celtic have probably made their mind up that he's going in January.
I did see there was a bit of interest from a few clubs abroad for Palma. I wonder if that will come to anything, because he has been here now. Is that a year he's been here? Did they come
longer
than a year, year and a half?
Kilmarnock are the team pushing in the game against Ross County. Bruce Anderson's had a shot deflected wide, and I think by all accounts the third Celtic goal is an absolute horror show for St Mirren, so I don't think Stephen Robinson will be too impressed. Zach Hemming, who came back to much fanfare because he was a very popular keeper when he was at St Mirren the first time, he's not had a brilliant afternoon, and I don't think he's been helped by his defence. Hatate is on, along with your favourite
Yang.
Oh,
yes.
Kuhn and McCowan off, so there will be no hat-trick for Nicholas Kuhn, but I don't think he'll mind.
No, not at all.
Good day's work, Hugh. Yeah,
absolutely. You fancy Yang for a goal?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Which team?
I think he can bring St Mirren right back in his game. No, I think we're a wee bit unfair on him. I know that his last few appearances weren't great, but obviously Brendan Rodgers still thinks he's got something.
What age is Yang, Gordon?
Contribute.
21,
yeah, exactly.
something like that.
Plenty of time.
You've got to cut this guy a bit of slack, Hugh. Come on.
Why?
He's 21.
22.
22.
There you go. Old enough.
I was married and a father at 22.
And you were getting criticised, were you?
It's finished at Fir Park. Good win, Motherwell. Aberdeen's woes continue. We'll hear from Fraser Wishart in a second. We have a VAR check for a penalty to Kilmarnock. No penalty. So it was after a corner, probably one of those congested penalty boxes, and no one really knows. But it is not given, and on we go. Are you surprised that Dundee Hearts and Killie Ross County both goalless?
I am, yeah. But just to before we leave the age aspect, Luke Littler's 17.
Yeah, good point. You got me there. Yep.
What's your point?
He's a world champion. He's 17.
He's throwing darts, mate. Come on. completely different game.
Don't think he could cover the distance Yang does in a game though.
Can you see Luke Litter running down the right wing?
Could you see Yang producing a 9-dart finish?
Yeah,
we never know. Get him a dartboard.
No chance.
You're a bigger excuse machine than Philippe Clement.
I just think you go too early at times.
I'm surprised, Gordon, to answer your question that United Hearts are still 0-0, and Kelly Ross County as well, by the way, because Kelly and Ross County have been scoring plenty of goals this season. But would you put it past Dundee United for another last minute winner?
Ida has the ball in the net, but it's offside. We've got a goal elsewhere.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Some life left in St Johnstone. It's St Johnstone 1, Dundee 3, and it is the substitute Josh McPake from distance. I don't think it'll be enough to get St Johnstone anything, but it certainly makes things look a touch better. They went 3-0 down early on. This could have turned out anything. It's 3-1 as things stand.
The pity is most of their fans will be home already.
Well done, Josh, family member.
Yeah.
So he is.
So his first St Johnstone goal, would we say?
It will be, yeah.
Family member who?
Me.
Oh, we've been through this many times. Your memory is terrible.
I'm not telling you.
I just put uninteresting things to the back of my mind, and then when they come up again, I store them for about 5 minutes, and then I stick them to the back of my mind again.
I must say the Aberdeen fans are a generous lot. They're applauding this team, and the Aberdeen players standing there for an extraordinary length of time applauding them. It's a horrible run. 10 games, no wins.
What's going through the manager's mind? He's just staring at the fans, and he must be thinking, how did I get this right?
You can
wonder what EasyJet's flights are like over
We're going to hear Fraser's full-time version of events very soon. Can you maybe not get away with this one, but that sense of maybe being hard done by? You go down to 10 men in the first half, you actually do quite well in the second. Look, the overall run's dreadful, but this one won't sting quite as much as the rest, will it?
But there was no pressure on them when they went down to 10. They threw a lot of forwards on. They took the game to Motherwell. Remember, when they went down to 10 men, they were losing 1-0. Motherwell were a better side. Like, he's got a big job in his hands now. He'll probably be backed in January. He'll bring in some fresh faces, and he just hopes he can kick on again and find that form he found when he arrived at Pittodrie.
It's a hard one to unpick, how you can be so good and, you know, beat everybody you come across to. You cannot get a result anywhere, and things going against you as well. You look at, even going back to the Ross County game, I think Aberdeen had chances and it's coming off the underside of the bar and things aren't quite getting in. And then even today, you know, the sending off, we're not convinced, but it's went against them. So everything piling up on his plate. I wonder if it's just a stage you give the players a few days off.
Sometimes
go away and
I've been with managers that, you know, good managers that have just turned around after a game and just says, like, on a Saturday, I don't want to see you to Thursday, and just days off. And some people think, oh, they should be in working day in, day out every afternoon as well.
But really, when you've 10 games,
sometimes you just got to do things just for a change, to mix it up, just change the routine, change the training routine, change the time, do something just to. It's like, see, when you've got a dodgy internet, you turn it off at the plug and then you put it back on, you reboot it. You've got to sometimes reboot your players. Good.
I'm not convinced.
I like that.
Not convinced.
He's got an answer for everything, this guy.
I've heard better.
No,
I told
true.
you he's an excuse machine.
He's great value.
After 5 games, okay, try all that, but after 10, admit that you're in bother and you'd better work hard at doing something.
What do you do? Get them in
off.
triple sessions and work them to the bone.
Well, what do you achieve by giving them days off?
Hugh,
I think you're missing the point. It's just about, sometimes it's so bad you need to just do something drastic.
Exactly. Pull the plug out, 30 seconds.
That's not drastic.
Put
That's
it
the
back
first thing
in,
you do.
switch it again.
I'll come back to you.
Does it work every time you do it? Of course it does. You're saying, oh, what, training. These guys will probably be doing double training sessions, they'll be doing videos, everything. It's not working. So as a good manager, sometimes you've just got to think out the box.
Well, look at the guy
and switch it back on again.
In the opposite dugout, Stuart Kettlewell was at 16 without a win last season.
Yeah.
Kept the faith, finished the season strongly, now going pretty well in the top 6.
Yep.
It's not as
By the
easy
way,
as just
that-
chucking everything out.
That's been overlooked. Stuart Kettlewell just now. Hugh, you touched on it earlier, Hugh. I mean, the points difference now between them and Aberdeen's 4 points.
Yeah.
And Stuart Kettlewell was getting stick this season on this show, saying that he should be out. The style of football was dreadful. And now he's on the coattails of Aberdeen.
Let's find out Fraser's version of events, having watched it at Fir Park today.
Full time at Fir Park, Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0, and a comfortable victory for the home side in the end. Aberdeen started the better team, but as the first half wore on, Motherwell simply took charge. Victory by a first half goals from Ewan Wilson and Tawanda Mbasumwanise, either side of a straight red card for Don's defender Slobodan Rubezic. Aberdeen the better team early on, but as the half wore on, Motherwell began to take charge and opened the scoring in 34 minutes. It'd be really good work inside the penalty box, set up Tony Watkins, low cross, evaded everybody, but Ewan Wilson running in at the back post. Really good finish from the wing back, his first professional goal, shot high into the back of the net from the angle. Just before the break, the game swung away from the Dons. Rubezic and Watt clashed on the sideline. Referee Nick Walsh waved a red card at Rubezic. They were head to head, the players, and BAR referee Gavin Duncan confirmed the referee's decision, and Rubezic walked. Shortly afterwards, it was 2-0 to Motherwell. A long ball from Dan Casey, must have travelled about 50 yards in the air. A brilliant touch by Maswanisi and an equally good finish low across the goalkeeper into the back of the net. Tempers still high at the break. Coaches Richard Foster and Peter Leven both red carded after announcing the tunnel. Then a couple of changes by Jimmy Taylor at the break. McDonald and Nisbet off, Paul Avara and Clarkson on. So they've no centre halves, Paul Avara and Nielsen at the back for them, but they started the second half well, the Dons. Keskin and Duke causing problems with their pace. Nicky Devlin's low cross shot right across the space of goal. Duke diving in at the back post. I think it was Liam Gordon got a touch to deny the Aberdeen striker. Motherwell fans becoming a bit quiet, a bit concerned their team might lose a goal. Jack Vale came on for a BA, and those concerns were highlighted when Leighton Clarkson hit the crossbar. A fierce 20-yard shot, good effort by the team. Cut across the ball, beat the goalkeeper, but just hit the crossbar flush on. Maswanisi tried to put the game to bed at the other end. A shot from the edge of the box, a yard wide. The second half in general, a bit of a non-event from the home side, perhaps reluctant to throw players forward, allow Aberdeen back into the game, and they saw the game out safely without any danger, and even had a chance to bring on long-term injury players Paul McGinn and Callum Slappy for the last 10 minutes. Much needed win for Motherwell. They're into 5th place, only 4 points behind Aberdeen, who have now gone 10 games without a win. They're in free fall and need to win very, very quickly. Full time at Fir Park, Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0.
Aberdeen were the story of the season.
Yeah.
And in a roundabout way, they're still the story of the season because of how it's flipped, Hugh.
Once upon a time, 9 points ahead of Rangers, now 6 points behind Rangers. A 15-point turnaround. And as Fraser had just said there, they need a win very, very quickly. Otherwise, it would be illogical for someone not to say, hold on a minute, Jimmy, where's this going? Because from the optics would suggest it's going nowhere, and quickly.
I remember even on the show we took so many calls.
Big goal at Tannadice.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Dundee United started the day in 3rd. They've seen Aberdeen lose as well. The chance to put more daylight. Hearts have taken the lead. It's their player of the season, probably. James Penrice, would you go along with that? It sat up, he put the laces through it, and Hearts have the lead at Tannadice.
Well, a great scoreline, not yet result for Neil Critchley. I'm sure the Hearts fans would be delighted with that, and Jim Goodwin very disappointed, and he's got Celtic Park to come midweek as well.
Oh well, at least the last Dundee United team to win 4 in a row in the league still involved Mark Wilson.
Exactly.
I've never seen the arms going up as quick now, celebrating.
One of the good old
Seriously,
days.
that could be huge for both, but Hearts in particular.
Well, for Hearts, you know what, I wasn't something I'm entirely surprised about. I always thought Hearts have got it in them with the players to go to Tannadice and get something. I had it down as a draw, but I'm not surprised that they've taken the lead. Look, the game's not done yet. Dundee United do like to score late, so
They are the late goal specialists, I'll give you that. But Hearts putting themselves in a good position, Gordon, with about 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, and it's obviously bad news for St Johnstone as well, who are losing.
In fact, more than 10 minutes to go. We're a bit behind there. We've got a long way to go.
I'm with Mark. I thought that would have been a real tight game. I think I went for a draw as well. So there's still time for Dundee United to salvage a point here. Jim Goodwin, obviously, when we're hearing, made 2 substitutions early. Certainly not happy with his players today. And Hearts have capitalised on that.
And as you rightly say, St Johnstone are watching everyone disappear over the horizon. It's now 8 points. If that scoreline becomes a result, it's 8 points separating St Johnstone at the bottom from Hearts.
That is early to have that type of gap. Kyogo and Palma are coming on, so maybe 10 minutes or so left for them to have an impact. I'm sure Kyogo fancies it against tired defenders. That must not be ideal.
I think Kyogo fancies it against any defenders.
I know, but if you're St Mirren's back 4 and you've been running around all day,
he is the busiest player in the league by far.
Him and Maeda together.
I
think if you're a Kyogo coming on here and it's 3-0 and St Mirren's heads are down, you fancy a wee chance. You fancy that you're going to get something, because St Mirren will try and throw men forward, and you know how good Celtic are, getting up the park with the players they've got, the pace they've got, and they're it's in abundance. So if I was Kyogo, I'd fancy a wee goal this afternoon.
Not saying it's Jim Goodwin's fault, but he'll be frustrated because he just made changes. Trapanovsky and Middleton on for Gallagher and Stevenson, and then they concede straight away.
Well, what he was doing anyway, Jim Goodwin, was quite remarkable. And this may turn into a blip, but to have Dundee United as high up the league as they are is a real feather in his cap. They are the promoted club after all.
I always find it hard to beat Hearts. Even in my time there, my 2 spells at United, I don't remember beating Hearts.
Are you bogey team?
I can never remember beating them at Tannadice. They always came there and won. Happy hunting ground for them.
Most famous when Celtic won the league at Paisley in the 80s, Hearts went to Dundee United and lost 3-0. And it was a real setback. They were running away with things at that time.
Was it not Dundee?
No, you're thinking of the
Albert Kidd one?
But that was the final day of the season. But they went to Dundee United.
Oh, sorry, Hugh.
Prior to that, and they lost 3-0, and it was a real blow to them.
Yeah, Hearts making some changes as well. They're now leading the game. Boateng and Forrest on, Boyce and Musadrami go off. And as we said, confirmation of the changes at Celtic Park. Kyogo on a couple of moments ago, Luis Palma, and it looks like that's heading for a comfortable Celtic win. They might look to add to it in the closing stages, but certainly going to take all 3 points and go back 13 points clear.
Not being disrespectful to St Mirren, I didn't think that result was ever in doubt. I think Celtic would have looked for a bit of a response today after the disappointment of Thursday, and Brendan Rodgers would have probably demanded that. He made 4 changes, and they probably won this game comfortably. I'm not be surprised if they had a 4th.
When will the KMI panel look at the Hibs penalty today, tomorrow, next day?
They've been absolutely rapid, haven't they? Because usually when you go week to week, it's a Friday.
Yeah.
Before the next round of fixtures. Now, we do have games this midweek, but it's not a proper midweek card, is it? It's just a couple of catch-up games, so I'm actually not sure. It'll be this week.
But you made a fair point earlier on about the Jack Butland own goal that was interpreted as a foul, but the KMI panel said it should have been allowed to stand.
Do you know what? It's good. I don't know if it's accountability, transparency, scrutiny, whatever it is, but it's just another 5 people's opinions.
Yeah.
You're still allowed to disagree with them.
Do you know who's on this panel, Gordon? Without saying, it always interests me.
I've got an inclination of 1 or 2, but it changes.
Does it?
Yeah, it changes.
Right. Okay. Sorry, I thought it was a consistent group of people.
I just think this is
that's the other thing. Then you've got different people, different opinions.
This is the lifeboat that Philippe Clement is clinging to. Keep telling the fans we were robbed. That should never be a penalty. So if he's already called out, will he call him? He's named him.
Like I say, I think there is another VAR review soon. I can't remember if that's going to go out this week or the start of next week, but
I don't think it even comes close to making it onto the VAR review.
Look, it might, but it's not. It's not Cherney at Hampden. It's not the way everyone need it. It's not Dan Casey at Fir Park.
Yep.
Even the Jack Butland one, although there was an arm up by Tony Watt, that caused a huge debate, didn't it? Loads of people felt really strongly about it. We're nowhere near in that category, but I think
no way
we get ourselves bogged down, because once we start, and by the way, some of these have been massive mistakes, no doubt. So once you get a few, we all look to add to, say, oh, I can't believe it, there's another one, and there's another one, when actually these are not the same. They're not as severe, but we're now going to do that for the next few weeks.
I'm just slightly surprised at the extent to which Philippe Clement has thought, right, I'll keep banging on about this penalty, and it will deflect attention away from what's actually taking place today.
Big goal, huge goal, in fact.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Kilmarnock 0, Ross County 1.
The Staggies.
Who could have foreseen this? The team who you always think are much better at home than they are away, and you always think Ross County are much better at home than they are away, and it is the visitors on this occasion that have taken the lead. County are turning into an away game specialist. Harmon, it's a low cross, a low finish, and good luck predicting a game in that portion of the Scottish Premiership. Killie 0, Ross County 1. Even worse news for the likes of St Johnstone at the bottom.
Correct.
But then it kind of keeps Killie
drops him down to 10th if that's
in that mix.
Well done, Don Cowie. What a run he is on at the minute. Dundee away, Aberdeen away, Killie away. Oh, hard fixtures, and coming out and topping all of them. Well, so far.
Yeah, there's a tight knot of clubs there, but the one consistent feature is that they're all of them disappearing over the hill from St Johnstone.
Offside check. Offside check.
Don't go too early, Hugh. Don't go too early.
Our learned colleague who is good on this stuff, Fraser Wishart's just said, and this is why you can't always just take it at gospel at first time. Fraser's not even sure Robin Proper is suspended at all. Because it's 6 yellows in the first half of the league. But that was Rangers' 20th game, was it, today?
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct.
20th game.
So
it should have reset.
I think it could have reset, but we all did it. It just flashed up on TV. Proper booked Mrs. Dundee game. I'll try and get a definitive, but Fraser's even sent me a nice table with the number of bookings that you're allowed to accrue and so on. So there is actually a chance that Robin Proper's not suspended for that game. I'm sure that will cheer all you Rangers fans up. Confirmation of that goal, Ross County. It stands. Huge goal.
4 minutes to go.
Well done, Don Cowie. I mean, the first time they've won 3 on the road on the trot for who knows how long.
Not one yet, Hugh. It's never over until that final whistle goes.
That's very, very
it's
true.
It's a great saying in football, isn't it?
Literal Daz over there.
Yeah, okay.
Full of the sayings.
The fat lady has sung.
Not yet.
Equaliser for Killie?
No.
Bruce Anderson?
No, I don't fancy it. No. I've just got to keep the excitement going, haven't I?
Killie fans will just
been a long day.
Wondering though, it's just not a game they would have expected to lose.
That's been the season for Derek McInnes. I mean, he must be so frustrated.
No red cards today.
No red cards, but he very rarely gets a complete package, does he? Maybe the 4-0 win against Aberdeen at home might have been as close as he's going to get this season.
But the last 3 home games, right, they've beaten Hearts, they've beaten Aberdeen, and they've beaten St Mirren without even conceding a goal. And you go and lose at home to Ross County.
Yeah, how do you explain that?
And you get dropped down to 10th, and Hearts obviously winning are 1 point behind you.
And the Steelmen go there on Wednesday.
Is it Wednesday they go there?
So busy midweek as well. Not every team involved, but we've got a couple. We have a couple, right? We're in the closing stages. I don't think there's not scope for huge drama now. We could get a Dundee United equaliser. We could get a Killie equaliser. Is that about it? Is that about all that would excite you at this stage?
Dundee St Johnstone's done.
3-1.
Yeah, I would say so.
Done. Celtic done.
3-0.
Box ticked.
Yeah, so it's only Rugby Park and where else?
Tannadice.
Tannadice, yeah.
Don't forget though, the open line will be here at the conclusion of these games. You could even give us a call now if you're really desperate, you want to get your point down, and we'll give you a call back. 0141 951 1025. Rangers fans, where did that go wrong for you today? How do you feel about the penalty debate? Where does this leave Philippe Clement? Just ask that same question every few days, because it's very up and down at the moment. So give us all your thoughts there on the phone, 01419511025, and we'll get to you after these games finish. 4 added at Celtic Park. They're just going to see this out, aren't they?
Just see that out, yeah. They would hope to add another goal to it, but 3-0, comfortable, job done. Obviously Rangers dropping points again, that lead stretched, so probably Thursday forgotten about now.
Their home form, Celtic, this year has been really good, because in previous seasons we've seen teams come and it's been sticky and they've relied on maybe winners in the last couple of minutes, 1-0 and scraping over the line. We said they weren't at their best. This year 3-0, 4-0, there's been a 5. It's really been convincing. I think the lowest they've had is maybe a 2 against Hearts, something like that. So really, convincing stuff from Brendan Rodgers' side at Celtic Park this year.
Yeah, you're right. Even at the start of last season, was that St Johnstone went there and drew 0-0?
0-0, yeah, and they found it difficult, but they've always had an answer. They found it pretty easy once they've got going. Once they've scored that first goal, they've found it easy to back up this year.
David Friel's got a good stat about Ross County on the road in the Premiership. I'll just let him deliver it when he gives us his full-time.
That's exciting.
Oh, get ready. This will entertain your evening.
I think couldn't steal his thunder. Go on.
My guess is it's never been done.
Oh, Hugh, you spoiler.
Oh, no.
Well done,
the post, they'll be fuming.
He's just stole the post bag.
Oh, he's been searching back.
To be fair, he says
results.
To be fair, it shows how much I listened to him. He says he mentioned it before the game. They've never won 3 away in a row in the Premiership.
How does he get on this? He surely doesn't sit and do all that research.
He's a professional.
Yeah.
Would you do that, Hugh?
Listen, not everybody just turns up and freestyles it.
That's because we're experts in the game. We just
freestyling's the way forward. Have a look at they two.
It's like surfing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, we're in the closing stages for sure. We'll get a full-time report from Celtic Park. We'll go around the other grounds. Then we want your phone calls, 01419511025. And you can tweet as well at Clyde SSB if you so wish, and get all your thoughts in on a busy day. I suspect because there is a more expected nature, a more routine nature to Celtic's win, that we would get some blowback from Easter Road, Hugh.
Oh, for sure, because it's the one big story of the day. I think Rangers go from beating Celtic 3-0 and the usual furore that follows an Old Firm game, and in the very next match they blow it, and they give people the opportunity to say they bottled it. They give the opportunity for people to say Philippe Clement on the road, terrible record, and they give people the chance to say that manager in charge of that side with those players will not overtake Celtic at any point in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, it's a body blow. They were hoping to build on Thursday's good performance. There was a lot of good vibes with Rangers, but unfortunately it's all went pear-shaped.
Full time Celtic Park. Here's Gabriel.
Celtic 3, St Mirren 0 at the full-time whistle. Brendan Rodgers' side moves 13 points clear at the top of the league after a comfortable afternoon in the East End. Goals from Nicholas Kuhn coming either side of Austin Trusty's header. The defending champions started the game brightly, but they just weren't clicking in the final third and not making the keeper work at all. The crowd got a little bit restless here, expecting the team to be initially buoyed by Rangers' earlier result. Nicholas Kuhn made sure the supporters had nothing to worry about after 33 minutes. And McCowan freed Maida down the left, who took a touch and a cross. The German, a nice finish, the ball squirming under the returning Zach Hemming in the St Mirren goal. Then just before the interval, Arne Engels with a lovely in-swinging corner from the left. American Trusty headed into the far corner to make it 2. Kuhn got his second to wrap up the 3 points midway through the second half. A brilliant counter-attack initiated by Kasper Schmeichel meant that Kuhn nearly scored, but St Mirren made such a hash of it they failed to clear it, and a few seconds later Arne Engels' back heel somehow ended up at Kuhn's feet to tap in from 2 yards. That is his 16th goal of the season. Adam Eder had the ball in the back of the net late on, thought he had a fourth, but it was ruled out for offside. St Mirren now lost 3 in a row. They dropped to 6th, Gordon, and have a fight on their hands to finish in the top half. But Celtic They are 13 points clear, and after that wobble at Ibrox a few days ago, they are just reminding everyone that they have a very firm grip on this trophy, and it will take something extraordinary to change that now. Full time, Celtic 3, St Mirren 0.
Yeah, it's effectively a 14-point lead when you take into account the goal difference. Therefore, Celtic would have to lose 4 league games to make this interesting, and that is just not going to happen. Therefore, we go back to the question of whether Rangers have the right manager and the right players to face the long-term future. The present day on Thursday looked bright. The present day on Sunday doesn't look bright at all for Rangers.
Well, how can it when they're up against a team like Celtic, who can bounce back from such a disappointment a Thursday and just put on another routine performance where they get 3 goals and another clean sheet? And that's been the story. Their home form is so good, and I know they've dropped some points away from home, and I'm thinking of Tannadice a couple of weeks ago, but when it's at Celtic Park, it's the ideal fixture that Brendan Rodgers would have wanted against a physical St Mirren side who have caused problems for other teams, and Rangers included in that. They just make it look easy, and they've got the squad then to rotate. So Brendan Rodgers will be happy with how they controlled the ball, happy with the goal scorers again, players that he put back in the side. Trusty, for example, doing quite well today and getting his goal, and it'll just be on to the next one, and I wouldn't expect anything less midweek again.
Just the type of Celtic win, Gordon, that is not remarkable, but in many ways that's the compliment, isn't it? You score 3 goals and don't concede, and you've almost come to expect those types of things.
I think that's the thing. You've got to look for a response. He made 4 changes today. St Mirren were always going to go there tactically and try and make it very difficult, frustrate Celtic. They did for the first 20-25 minutes, but Celtic dominated most of the ball. The minute that first goal goes in, it's a hard shift for St Mirren. 3-0, you said it, 3 goals at home, another clean sheet, and you obviously widen that gap at the top.
Let's try and speak to David Friel. It's finished between Kilmarnock and Ross County.
Remarkable game here, Gordon. Full time, Kilmarnock 0, Ross County 1. Ross County, they'd gone 15 months without an away win. They've now got 3 in a row. They're the kings of the road, and they made club history. For the first time in their top flight history, Ross County have won 3 successive away games. George Harman grabbed a late winner to leave Kilmarnock stunned and move County a place above them in the table. They were good in the first half, they weren't so good in the second half, but Harman's goal is all that matters. As I said, County had the best of the first half. Josh Nisbet, Conor Randall both going close. Kelly were much improved in the second half to pull pressure on. David Watson, Bruce Anderson, Corey and Dabba all had efforts, but then in 86 minutes it was County who got the win. I know Chilvers raced down the left, cross for George Harman. He still had work to do, but slotted a low shot past Robbie McCrory. Kelly fans aren't happy. This is a rare home loss for them. They're down to 10th place, but what a day for County and their tiny band of away fans. Full time, Kilmarnock 0, Ross County 1.
That is a great result. Well done to Ross County. Kelly fans, what's happening there? Very difficult to predict your results at the moment. Give us a call if you want. It's full time St Johnstone Dundee. Roger Hannah.
Full time St Johnstone 1, Dundee 3, and you wonder, Gordon, if this day, January the 5th, will be recalled as the day St Johnstone really slumped towards the championship. A derby defeat, a dismal display, and with results elsewhere going against them, Simo Valakari's side now are 8 points adrift at the foot of the Premiership table. They had a miserable start. They were behind after just 3 minutes. Goalkeeper Josh Ray inexplicably dropping Sean Adewumi's routine free kick at the feet of Simon Murray for the opening goal. It was 2-0 in 10 minutes. Another set piece, this time reached Clark Robertson at the back post. He returned it, and Seb Palmer Holden was unmarked for an easy tap in inside the 6-yard box. It was 3-0 in 22 minutes. A surge down the right by Josh Mulligan, a fantastic cross into the box. Adewumi missed it at the near post. Cameron didn't miss it in the middle for a third. At that stage, the St Johnstone fans were turning on manager Valakari. He made a double change in 28 minutes, taking off Andre Raymond and Matt Smith. It hardly turned the tide at all. Dundee again threatened a fourth just before the break. Ray making a fine save to deny Palmer Holden. As you can imagine, Dundee took the foot off the pedal in the second half. St Johnstone sub Josh McPeak got one back midway through that second half, but at no stage did they really threaten a comeback at all. The fans pouring out of McDermott Park long before the end of this miserable defeat. Valakari needs major backing from the Saints board in January before they're cut even further adrift. Final score of McDermott, St Johnstone 1, Dundee 3.
Dundee United aren't finished yet. They've got a corner to try and equalise late on against Hearts. Jack Walton, the goalkeeper, is up. But Roger makes the most important point of all, Hugh, with regards to that game he's just watched. Is this the day that you really struggle? And it's extremely early, but you still struggle to see a way back for St Johnstone?
I do now, when you're losing 3-1 at home to Dundee, it's a concern. And that they're 8 points adrift, and then the team above that is 9, 8, 9, 10. People are just disappearing from them, and I really fear for Valakari, and I don't see where the major backing comes from. They can't afford it.
Come on then, desperate to know what you are thinking after today's football. 0141 951 1025. Easter Road, where did it go wrong, Rangers fans? Is this a missed opportunity? The gap pretty much wiped out the good stuff from Ibrox in terms of the league table. Where does it leave Philippe Clement? What about the penalty decision he's not happy with? Celtic fans, straightforward for you. What jumped out in that game? Motherwell, good win there. It could be a very good, well, it was a good day for Ross County, but that means a bad day for Kilmarnock. There is so much to get through, and I'll give you the full-time picture from Tannadice as well. But give us a call right now.
It's your reaction. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's Open Line.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson, Gordon Dalziel are here. They want to know what you made of today's action. It is that simple. There is so much to get through. We'll give you the full-time picture from Tannadice very soon, but let's go straight to the phones. We've wasted enough time. Craig is on. How's it going, Craig? Oh, in fact, we can't quite get Craig yet. I've got a very small technical issue on this desk in front of me, and then we'll get Craig lined up. Hugh Keevins is banging things. He's just trying to make it all work.
Love that aggression. Your knuckles are bleeding now, Hugh. Get him a plaster.
No, I gave it the elbow.
Oh, the elbow was it? No.
It's been a good day though, Gordon, of football. Dramatic.
It's been great. We got off to the perfect start this afternoon through in Edinburgh. Hibs v Rangers. At one point we thought Rangers were just going to run away with it. All credit to Hibs. What a game it was. We've got talking points, we've got goals, we've got the manager of Rangers complaining about the penalty kick. We've got everything today.
Craig, take it away.
Hi guys, Happy New Year to all of you, obviously, first of all.
Thank you, same to you.
Yes, mate. I just want to say I didn't manage through to the game today, and I was watching it on Sky, and I was really impressed with Rangers for the first 30 minutes, and then obviously when the goal went in, they kind of, seemed to be a bit shell-shocked, but it should have been 3-4 up. And I said to the producer earlier on, straight after the game, I said, the main thing for me about Rangers is this January window. If we can get Dessers out the door, and ideally Matondo, I'm not one to, band about figures, but obviously they're on quite high wages, both of them. If we can get both of them out, for me, the priority is bringing in a central defender and a midfielder in the kind of vibe of Kevin Thompson, Stuart McCall, that kind of, destructive kind of midfielder that can sit beside Raskin. That I would be fine with to the end of the season. I think it's going to be a wee bit of an up and down kind of season between now and May. I'm not, personally me, and a lot of my fans that I go on the bus with, we're not going to lose the head over results about today, dropping 2 points at Hibs. It's about, can we build on that? Can we beat Celtic again at Ibrox? Can we potentially go on and win the Scottish Cup? Because results like this are going to happen when you've got a second choice goalkeeper and you've got half your back four missing. I think that's a point that's been missed today.
Would that still work, Craig? Because I think you're right. I don't think you can overlook the significance of now believing that you can beat Celtic. But just for talking's sake, say that it's 17, 18, 19 points by then. Is that enough just because you then think you can go and beat Celtic?
I've seen it before. I've had people like Barry Ferguson as captain and people like Mikel Arteta and finish 16 points behind Celtic under Martin O'Neill, and they bounced back and won a treble the following season. Now, this team's not technically on the same level as those, but and again, I'm talking about, my kind of mates and people that I go with. What we felt was, after the cup final, there was a hangover. Even the home game, I can't even remember who it was against. Kilmarnock or St Johnstone beat 1-0. And then obviously the Motherwell and the St Mirren, dropping points there. That to me was the team thinking, right, we've put all that in. and we've not beaten Celtic over the cup final, and then to go and beat them in the manner they did the other day, to start the way they did to the Easter Road, I think, and I hate going back about this guy, but Gerrard used to beat them quite often, but would often blow the league until the COVID season. So beating Celtic's not the thing, but to get that monkey off Clement's back, I think is a big thing. And as I say, for me, the priority is get a defender in, get a defensive mid in, because although you're saying losing Dessers, you're losing a striker, the guy's not playing. He's not even getting off. He's not even getting minutes today. And you can potentially bring in another striker towards the end of the window. But I just think this hysteria, and I get it because he's under pressure, but I say give Clement. You don't get time in Glasgow, but I think this is a guy to give time to, because these European performances, away in Nice, Tottenham, Celtic in the cup final, Celtic the other day, that's not a manager that doesn't know how to set up a team. It's whatever happened today, a penalty, a goal for a corner, these things happen. But as I say, I'm not going to be concerned about dropping points on the road. And Boydie was losing his mind on TV today like he does for, effect. And I get in the media it needs to be blown up. But if we can get there and say we're beating Celtic another one time, whether that be Parkhead, whether it be Ibrox, whether it be in the Cup, give the guy to the summer and then get a lot of, I'm even leaving out guys like Kieran Dow, get high earners that are still there off the wage bill, because he's shown, I don't know if it's him, I don't know if it's Coppin, but if we can get another 2-3 players the quality of Igaman, Czerny, and, we're not going to be far away. I'm not going to say we're going to win the title next season, but we've shown now that, as I say, the monkey's off his back in terms of beating Celtic and beating them convincingly.
In fairness, just quickly, if anyone wants to disagree with that and do it energetically, as pundits might do, it doesn't mean they're doing it for effect. I think that you're entitled to look at that away form and think that it's not acceptable.
I think Craig doesn't have very much ambition. There's a bigger picture here. There's a question of credibility at Rangers. It's not enough to have an occasional win over Celtic. If that's what floats your boat, okay, but the bigger picture is that this club has a culture of failure, and it's gone on for years, and Celtic have dominated this country for years. And if you want to build something, Czerny's going back in the summer because Rangers can't afford the fee that he would cost. Who's going to buy Dessers and Danilo when they don't get a game for Rangers, etc., etc. Hadji will probably try and get out as well.
I don't know about that, but I take your point about Dessers. Might be tough to get a good fee there.
Yeah, so it's the long-term future of the club and building a credible team. This team is not credible. They got a result against Celtic that gave the supporters a really good night on Thursday, and in the very next fixture they blow it again.
I do take your point, Craig, about the comparisons, but to say, well, there once was a Rangers team that lost the league 23, 24, 5 years ago, and they bounced back the next season. I mean, is that it? Is that the sum of the defence?
No, I want to pick you up on something there. I'm not saying I've got no ambitions, ridiculous you. What I'm saying is, you watched the Celtic team when Rangers were winning 9 in a row. Celtic were building and building and building and building to stop Rangers doing 10 in a row. That's what Steven Gerrard did. You've got to give a team time when there's a financial gap. You can't. What's the solution? The Rangers just keep sacking managers every 12, 18 months and then start again, and then, somebody comes in and says, oh, I don't like Diamande, I don't like Badrami, I don't like Barron, start again. Rangers need to, and I think a lot of my fans are, the word apathy's been thrown around quite a lot. The Rangers fans are going through apathy and think, no, well, we saw that coming. I think what it is just getting this part of it out the way, because there's a long-term picture, and Rangers have got a bit of failure here, but Rangers had most of their back four missing today, and their second choice goalkeeper. They lost a goal from a penalty, but it was dubious. They lost a goal from a corner, and they could have scored the last kick of the. If Igaman scores in the last kick of the game, it's a completely different conversation. Philip Clement.
I think the problem with that is if Rocky, whose header hit the post,
Lewis Miller.
If Lewis Miller's header hits it's a different story. So getting involved in these little, this could have happened, that could have happened on any given day is flimsy. However, I do think Craig does hit on a really good, important general point, Gordon. You cannot just keep sacking the manager. Rangers don't have Celtic's money, so what happens? How do you guarantee that the next guy gets any closer? And then, Iggyman might not be flavour of the month there. You're back to looking for a new striker. It's going to hurt, and it's going to hurt a lot. And I'm not saying you get to 20 points behind and you accept it, but what do? You cannot keep sacking managers.
Listen,
surely.
I think Craig makes a lot of good points, and I take on board his argument. The big question is, yes, Rangers need to rebuild. Rangers need someone to come in and take the club forward. You've got to ask yourself, and Rangers fans will ask the question, is the manager in the building just now is the right man to take them forward? It's the end of the story. Now, if he's not, then I'm sorry, you've got to keep sacking managers till you eventually find the right one. Craig's talking about one or two players there. Look, I agree, Dessers is not getting on the pitch. He's on probably decent money. They've got to sort of free money. He's saying we need a sitting midfield player to get and sit next to Raskin. 3 months ago we had Rangers fans on here saying that Connor Barron was the best signing they've had. He was a top player. He was this, he was that. He was Rangers' best player. Can't even get a game in the starting 11 now. He comes on the pitch this afternoon just to shore everything up. Look, I totally agree. I hate clubs that just the minute something goes wrong, sack manager. But you've got to be confident in yourself to build a team. You've got the right manager.
The away form must be a bit of a concern though, Craig, because I'm sure you'll acknowledge not everybody is as understanding as you. Not everybody is as level-headed and able to try and look at a bigger picture. And if this was to keep happening, if Dens doesn't go to plan, and I'm sure you, even though you're a big optimist, I'm sure you wouldn't think it would be outrageous to suggest Dens might not go to plan midweek. How much worse could it get before too many people who don't see it like you just lose the rag with it all?
Of course, I mean it's nowhere near good enough the away form, Gordon. But what I do see is, the results obviously speak for themselves. But what I look at first and foremost is a performance, and I see a group of players that are all, probably I'm going to get corrected here by caller, but they're all kind of in their mid-20s or younger. For the vast majority of them, the outfield players. So it's a young team, and there's going to be bumps. Clement said this a year ago. He's like, there's going to be bumps along the ride. And obviously, Hugh, in terms of, I came on after the Aberdeen away game and said, there's nothing there. And I remember Hugh asked me prior to the cup final, he's like, what is it that's changed your mind? I said, he's let the handbrake go. He's went with this 4-2-4 and he finished with the game with this 4-2-4. But of course, the away form is diabolical. And I mentioned Barry Ferguson earlier. Barry Ferguson captained us finishing third under Alec McLeish, and that was somebody that was born and bred a Rangers fan. So I don't know what the answer is, but my point is we need to stick behind this guy because we probably don't have the money to sack him, but that's not my main argument. It's what I said earlier. You need to give the guy time. If it had kept going the way it was after Aberdeen, I would be on here shouting from rooftops, get rid of him. And I dreaded the worst going into that cup final. If it had kept going the way it was and he didn't change things or tried to change things with apart from Czerny, apart from Hadji, apart from Iggyman, John Souttar, the goalkeeper, he's working with a very limited group of players, technically wise, and he hasn't got the funds to get the players like he would ideally want in an ideal world. I know nothing ever works out like that, but I've heard comparisons about the guy down at Man United that gets sacked. It's nothing like that because they were getting the odd results. But sorry, I'm rambling. But the away form is nowhere near good enough. But my main point is, and Hugh and obviously Gordon will probably know what I'm going on about here. When Alec McLeish came in and replaced Dick Advocaat, you get the result against Celtic, the Cup, and he was able to build for next season. That's all I'm saying. Give the guy next season. If it doesn't work out, I'll be screaming for his head this time next year.
I don't know what he has to work with next season. Czerny will go away. It's difficult for Rangers to really strengthen their squad because they have, I'll put it this way, they have limited finance.
I suppose though, and it is a huge if, granted, but if Iggyman's the best player, That's the point. You're just trying to do more of him. You're trying to get these gems. You're trying to find that Jeffty's now doing okay. You're trying to get another Jeffty. You try to get another Igaman. You hope that they are even better because they've now been there for longer. Deadwood, as the phrase goes, maybe cleared out. So I think it's very difficult to predict what that will look like.
Igaman has been a terrific signing, and I said earlier today he could be the top goal scorer in the country this season. He's got such a flair in the box, but it's the overall picture at Ibrox. It's an uncomfortable watch, I think, for the Rangers fans. They had a great night out on Thursday, but they're back to square one on Sunday.
Maybe it is just about time, as Craig calls for, either way, Gordon, to know, to give this version, this Hadji and Igaman inspired, although it wasn't inspired today, version a bit more time. You get a better run of fixtures, because I can almost sense someone calling up to contradict Craig where he says, before the cup final I thought we had a good chance because the handbrake had come off. Rangers have won 2 out of the 7 games since before that cup final. 2 out of 7. However, it is a couple against Celtic, and Tottenham was in there and so on. But if that's the handbrake off and it's 2 wins from 7, maybe we just need a bigger sample then of what the results are once this handbrake is apparently off.
Yeah, but before that time, I think that we were all talking about Rangers had no identity, right? All of a sudden they brought Igaman back in, they brought Hadji in. All of a sudden that 4, as you call them, the front 4, started. There's a bit of flair about them. They were unlucky in the cup final, but I'll get back to Craig, they didn't win the cup final. They were unlucky against Tottenham. They didn't beat Tottenham. I'll get back to my great saying, one swallow doesn't make a summer. Now, beating Celtic,
not you were saying, just for clarity,
okay.
But anyway,
going back to Thursday, Rangers fans were in a high, rightly so. They were excellent. There was good play in there, flair, everything about it. You think they're on the up. You go Easter Road today, there's a perfect example, and this is where the problem is. It's quite easy going. Their away record's poor because of one thing, right? Hibs played into their hands for 20 minutes today, and Rangers absolutely done them in and should have finished the game. All of a sudden, Hibs change it and drop their 2 wing backs back as a 5, make it very compact, and Rangers then, to me, struggled. And defensively, you can't have it both ways. You can't turn round and say, well, you know, have a look at Thursday with a makeshift back 4 with their second choice goalkeeper in. Now remember what Butland produced at Fir Park. It was terrible. And then go, well, hold on a minute, we lost 3 goals today because of that.
But to be fair though, yes, praise for the makeshift back 4, but were they ever likely to be able to sustain it? Because fine, Yilmaz hasn't got credit, but you'd still rather have Suter and or Balogun in there, wouldn't you?
Okay, right. What I'm going to say is, and this is the argument we had, I totally agree with that, because if Suter, Balogun was fit today, I'm sure these guys in here would have still went, you can't change the team because it puts you under pressure, right? That shows you today. Look, I keep going back to, I don't want Clement to get sacked. I'm not interested. I'm not here to say that. All I'm saying is, if you believe in that building at Ibrox, this is a man in future that's going to take you the way Craig thinks he's going to rebuild the club, then you back him to the hilt.
I agree with Daz with that one. I'm all for fans sticking up for managers and giving them time, because I think it's a really difficult job and there's not enough of it. But there's got to come a time where the penny drops, and you know, you're a year and a half into this project. Has Clement made players better? Maybe 1 or 2. Has he created a style that the Rangers fans enjoy? Not until the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Are those 2 things now though heading in a slightly better direction? If you wanted to talk about Igaman and Jeffty and maybe add Hadji and Raskin to that,
I think that's what you do, give time to the end of the season, because you get to May and then you'll get a bigger picture of that. But in the last 3 or 4 weeks, yes, it's looked good because you've had the cup final and the game against Celtic. But if you take the most recent since Christmas, 4 games and you win 1, okay, nobody think it's against Celtic. That isn't good enough for a Rangers manager.
Thank you to Craig. 0141 951 1025. It's a good time to call.
The games are over. The talking begins. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's Open Line.
Reaction starting to come in to the 3 o'clock games today. Let's hear from Stuart Kettlewell. A 2-0 win for Motherwell against Aberdeen, who went down to 10 men early on.
Our performance against Hearts, that was my biggest point that I wanted to address today, and that was what the players wanted to. You know, it's fine and well me saying that, but they were hurting a little bit. They were a bit sore for the performance just a few days ago, and I just felt that they gave us that today right for the word go. I thought we looked as if we were in connection with everything that we were trying to do, and obviously we scored a couple of good goals. I addressed the bit where I think that we can certainly play better in the second half, and we can make that a lot easier for ourselves. Take the threat of Aberdeen away, spend more time in the ball with more control. But the biggest part for me today was to get a reaction in to look to get 3 points, and with the added bonus of a clean sheet, which is great for us. At the time, there looked as if there's contact. It looked as if Rubizic jumps up and makes contact, and I've actually just seen television pictures there which kind of confirmed that as well, so I don't know that there's much to contest there. I don't think you'll get away with that reaction. We had a straight red card to Dan Casey for nothing like that, which was obviously rescinded, so you can say it's a break or whatever. When we went through this spell that we have done in the last number of weeks, you'll understand that I'm not going to speak too much about it, and I'll just let it go, and I feel that it was probably justified. I think the referees probably got it right.
Part of the big story though is Aberdeen, how good they were and how not so good they are now. Is that 10 without a win, did we say, Hugh? Yep. Keevins? Here's what Jimmy Tilleen had to say.
We start the game really well. We had a run now on games that we not performed so well. I think we saw some good performance in the last game at home, but then in a bad moment they scored on us, Ross County, and today was the same feeling. We start the game really well, and then we have 10 minutes when Motherwell have momentum and the goal is just coming in an easy way, and that's a thing we have to find a way to stop this happening, because when we are good, we are quite good inside the games, but when opponents have momentum, we're not strong enough to resist in this. It can be 10 minutes sometimes, 15 minutes sometimes, but it costs a lot for a team right now when these things happening. That's a way we just need to find a way, and that's my job, to find a way together with the players to be more stable in this. You can't control 90 minutes, but when you do things well, but then opponents have momentum, they're not strong enough right now.
The red card incident, have you seen that again?
I haven't seen it yet, but I think it's always important for players to have emotional control in difficult times to be on the pitch.
That's a guilty verdict then. It's important for players to have emotional control, and his player didn't, and he's off, and Jimmy Tilleen clearly has no problem with that.
Let's hear from Scott, who's a Rangers fan. How do you look back on today, Scott?
Today, I was quite confident going into the game today, but if I'm very honest, I enjoyed the game today. I didn't enjoy, obviously, going to 3H, but football's very fine margin here. I've been listening to a lot of stuff and, sackings. See when Iggyman went through with the easiest chance out of his hard trick, I thought he was going to score for that, and that was probably his easiest chance. So we would be sitting here today talking about Clement and 14 points and this and that. And the other point I want to make is about Hugh going on about him being an excuse machine. Hugh, he's entitled to his opinion of saying it wasn't a penalty. My opinion, I don't think it was a penalty either. I think the momentum, the two were in, and if it only because it was inside the box they gave it, but along the up, but he's allowed his opinion. It's not an excuse. It's just he's an opinion. He's allowed it. He's the manager of Rangers. He's allowed his opinion.
Yep.
But anyway, the point I wanted to make was I came on a week before the league started, and it was at the point where we had a debate about Tavernier, whether he should stay or go. And I ruled out this whole season where I says that I was prepared, and I hoped a lot of Rangers fans would be the same. This building process, I'm very confident still in the manager that we got, that we will turn this around and we're building something. I mean, 2 months ago, I think Gordon mentioned it, we didn't have a style of play. I'm enjoying the style of play that I'm watching now. I'm enjoying seeing the team work together, getting to know each other. I think our biggest problem now is our squad. I believe, we're the strongest team now are 4 or 5 players away from being a good team. And I think until we get some players out and some players in, and it's no excuses, I still believe that from middle to front, we've got good players. Our problem now is definitely defence. And along with Butland has not been very good this year, which I'm sure he'll admit himself.
I think, see, on that, Scott talking about style and stuff, Gordon, I think clearly what has changed, right? And you can say this is a low bar or whatever, fine. But I remember the calls a couple of months ago where people were saying there was nothing to like about the Rangers team. You remember it, you used to always say they were a bore fest. Yeah. Players, fans said there was no positives. Now there clearly are, and you're just trying to make that number grow, I guess, and try and turn it into something wider and something more consistent. What's been lost because of the fact that Rangers drop points is Hamza Egeman got a hat-trick, you know, and so there's more there now than there was. Now, is that growth fast enough? Is that improvement quick enough for people? Maybe not. Will it come to much? Only time will tell. But in that sense, you can see a bit of progress from where they were.
Oh, massively. You know, I look at Rangers, I enjoyed their performance against Tottenham. I enjoyed their performance in the cup final. I enjoyed their performance against Celtic on Thursday. I thought today's game was a great game. I agree with Scott. I think there's something there, middle to front. Egeman's just, you know, he's lit up Rangers for me. I think there's a style of play. I think Tierney's a good player. Hadji's come in there. Raskins took the responsibility last few games as a captain. Yes, obviously problems at back. You look at Rangers over the last two games, Celtic at home, Hibs away, they've scored 6 goals, and they've only picked up 4 points. Yeah, you can point the finger at the defence, but where I think that you've got to look at is the overall picture. You can't just now throw the defence and the goalkeeper because he's not the first team goalkeeper under the bus, because on Thursday Rangers from front all the way to back protected the back four, didn't let Celtic get balls to their front three where they're so dangerous, and that's why they got a clean sheet. So overall it's a team game, but I just think that Rangers need to find a way when they're dominating possession and teams drop back, and this is where I think their away record comes into that being poor. When teams drop back like Hibs done today, Hibs went toe to toe, first 20 minutes, 3 at the back, sending their 2 guys up into the midfield to try and get counter-attack Rangers. All of a sudden Rangers dominate it, all over them. Next minute Hibs 2-0 down, brought their wing backs back and says to Rangers, we're not open anymore, come and break us down. Got them the counter-attack, scored for set plays. Now look, you can talk about that chance with Egeman, right? A Hibs fan can come on here and easily say, if Miller's goal header goes in, it's a different game. That's just the nature of football. You can talk about the penalty kick. Do you think it's a penalty kick? No. Do I think it was a penalty kick? I do, right? I think if Rangers fans had that at their end, they'd be screaming the place down for it, and rightly so. I'll back them that. I think there's great signs of improvement there, Gordon, but they've got to be consistency, and I keep going back to it. I am not beating the drum to get the Rangers manager out. I'm saying if you believe in that building, like Scott and like Craig, he's the man to take you forward, then back him to the hill.
Even if you use this as the barometer after the Dundee United game, I would say, is that like the lowest point maybe? Or
yeah.
We just didn't get any calls backing Philippe Clement, and I'm not saying the world revolves around what we have on here, but there now is, rightly or wrongly, Mark, he's convinced some people that he's worth sticking around, even if today wasn't.
But I wonder if people are getting confused with a style being introduced, or the introduction of players who play with a bit of freedom and have got a bit of creativity. As soon as Egeman's come in and he plays with Swagger, we spoke about him, he's unpredictable, he gets people off their seats, it excites people. Same with Hadji. Barami's came and done a wee bit in that number 10 role where he's introduced. But is there a style being introduced? Can anybody tell me then what it is? Because they played a different way against Celtic. That's not an introduction of a style. That's clever management.
What do you think, Scott? Is it a tactical change, or is it just you've got more exciting players that are doing it themselves up to a point?
I think a bit of both. Absolutely makes sense that we've got Hadji back. I like Barami in the midfield. Tierney's getting a bit stronger physically, because when he first came in, every time he goes forward he looks dangerous. But no, I just don't like this whole thing of every time it doesn't go the Rangers' way, we're talking about sacking the manager. It's absolutely the wrong choice, and I'm telling you right now, Philippe Clement's going to be there whether we lose 14 points or 40 points. He's still going to be there. And if you brought another manager in, you can't just go on, and if Celtic win the league in the next couple of years, we'll sack him too. He's building a team, it takes time, he's getting to know the players as time goes on, and I've every confidence. I'm absolutely ruling out this season. Absolutely ruling it out. The only thing I would say is I've got more confidence than I did when I came on at the start of the season of getting into this list if we manage to get to the cup final, just because you were rather now. But no, I'm ruling this whole season out. I want Clement still to be the manager. I'm the first to agree that I don't think he comes out with the right things, but we've got to listen to all using the panel. We don't think we used to make the right thing, but we don't say sack these on bringing new panel in, do we?
We don't.
Yes, you do.
We don't get paid the same money as Philippe Clement does either, Hugh. That might be worth bearing in mind.
And while I'm thinking for myself, Craig, I'm thinking that when he's on about the penalty, he's deflecting attention away from the fact that you mentioned Hadji did nothing today apart from concede the penalty. Tierney, very little taken off. Eggman is the only success story of the day for me where Rangers are concerned. He's an outstanding player.
See the writing off of this season, Scott, is that unconditional? You know, is there a kind of worst case scenario that it could get to that would make you change your mind, or is that an unconditional write off and go again next season?
It's a definitely write off for the league. There's no doubt about that. But I absolutely believe in Clement as the manager. And listen, Rangers didn't give Clement 6 years contract for nothing. The Rangers fans need to get used to it. Clement is not getting sacked, no matter what, because we cannot. And again, as Craig says, it's nothing to do with because we can't afford to bring a manager in. The backing of Clement is there, and it's only used guys, some Rangers fans, rightly so as you say, the fans saying it. We need to stop it and get behind them, the Rangers fans. Stop this shouting every time. I had my son text me the day, Clement should get sacked, and I text back to him and I was like, you need to stop this. Just because you're in a huff because we didn't carry on for beating Celtic. Who cares? I watched a very good game today and enjoyed it.
We enjoyed it as well, to be fair, Hugh.
I think it's wonderful that people say I really enjoyed it, and as a television spectacle it was first class. But I'm just going over the festive period. St Mirren defeat away, Motherwell draw away, day out against Celtic, party time, following game, points dropped to Hibs away. It's uninspiring. It's not uplifting, and it's effectively 14 points adrift of Celtic. There have to be greater demands made of everyone from Clement down, because Hadji can't be outstanding against Celtic on a Thursday and do nothing on the Sunday. That's not going to get you anywhere.
Do you know where I think Scott's 100% right? I said it in the show today. I feel for a Rangers manager because he's one of the few managers that just now with supporters, some of them, not Scott and Craig, they back him to the hilt. He goes from game to game. You've either got to come out and say, look, like Scott and Craig have said, we don't care. This is our manager at the end of the season. He's got 2 transfer windows in that time, and if he doesn't then kick on, then they'll be shouting for the heavens. But he's a manager that goes for Thursday, won a lot of supporters back over, and people saying, yeah, he's the right man, I can see things happening and it's good improvement. We've got good flair players in there. We're beating Celtic comfortably 3-0. Goes to Easter Road today, terrific game, scores 3 but comes away with a draw. I'm with Scott, I just don't like this game to game, whether he wins, oh he's good again, he gets beat or a draw, I'll get him out of the building. Either back him or don't going forward.
Thank you very much to Scott. What about William? How do you look back on it?
Yeah, hello Gordon and panel.
Hello.
Yeah, my main point's for Hugh, right? He's just backed me up with his comment about Hadji. Did he not set up the first goal for Igdeman? No, he done nothing. But that's one of my points, right? I want to ask you, how many times did they call for Steven Gerrard's head the first 3 years? See the first 2 years, he was every week he had a bad result. He's saying he's going to get sacked. Come on, building a team. You can see there's signs that the team, if he gets a bit more in these building blocks and puts his stamp in the team, they'll come good. You can't keep sacking managers and resetting every time, because Celtic's just got to run away with it every time you do that, because it takes about a year, 2 years for a new manager to get his plans in.
I've made it quite clear, Scott. William, sorry, I don't mind the logic. I don't mind when people say that you can't keep sacking managers. I think football clubs do it far too readily. The only thing is, if you want to use that Steven Gerrard comparison, look at where Rangers were when Steven Gerrard took over. It was natural that was going to take a prolonged period of time. It was only last season, William, that you and a lot of your fellow Rangers fans thought that Philippe Clement was going to win the league with Rangers. Rangers since Steven Gerrard have been in a European final, so you can understand why expectations have been raised a bit. That's not to make your core point wrong. You can't keep sacking managers, and people always deserve time. But I'm not sure this is the same as allowing Steven Gerrard time to try and catch up with Celtic, is it?
No, I don't agree with your points, Gordon. No, I don't, because
which bit?
Well, everything you're saying, because Gerrard's
I know, just which bit in particular?
Well, you're talking about Gerrard, right? Mm-hmm. He came in and Rangers were in a financial mess. The team wasn't great. They were building, and there was no money. But he brought in projects like Aribo, Kamara, and all that. It took him a while. We weren't in a great state then. Do you know what I mean? I don't get your point.
But weirdly, I think you've almost agreed with it. It was going to take that length of time because they started so far back. But it is legitimate for people to look, and I know it's a new team, but it was only a few months ago people thought that Philippe Clement could have won the league last season. So he wasn't at that same starting point that Steven Gerrard was.
Gordon, Rangers have no money since 2012. We've been at that starting point nearly every year. I don't know what you're going on about.
They had a similar wage bill to Celtic. They've reached a European final since Steven Gerrard. All I'm trying to say is I think you're overlooking the progress that has been made in that time.
Was that not good coaching then, to get to European finals? Taking time. Do you know what I mean? Is that not good coaching?
It didn't take Giovanni Van Bronckhorst that long.
He took over for Gerrard's team, Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm lost. Somebody else can step in if you so wish.
See, I think the callers we've had so far are desperately trying to convince either themselves or us that progress is being made.
But by the way, that's at the core of that, and I said it numerous times, whether William wants to ignore it or not. I actually think the core point of you can't keep sacking managers and give people time, I think that's fine. I think that's fair.
Let's exclude Clement from all of this. How can you look at the league table and say progress is being made? The cup final was lost to Celtic. You can argue all day about one incident in the match, but at the end of the day, the cup was lost to Celtic. So,
but to be fair though, they previously could not beat Celtic. They now can beat Celtic. They previously, in Gordon Dalziel's words, were a borefest. They are now not. So that is progress. It's maybe not enough for you, but it's still progress.
Progress of a sort whereby the away record is still appalling. And I go back to the situation with the league table, and also the bigger picture. If Celtic want to strengthen the squad that's already there, they have the cash in great number to do so. Rangers aren't in that position, so if Celtic think that Rangers are getting closer to them, they'll just spend and get the gap back to what it was.
It's not always that easy though, because Celtic's multi-million-pound players didn't help them win the game on Thursday.
I'm just glad that we've had three callers. They're all backing the manager. I've no problem whatsoever with that, Gordon. I've no problem whatsoever. I said earlier, I don't like the fact that guy has to go game to game. If Rangers fans can see that progress, and yes, certainly can, because you look about 6 weeks ago, I used to sit and watch Rangers and I would be totally turned off with them, bored me to death. Now it's different. I think Rangers fans are enjoying some of the football, especially Thursday against Celtic. Some of the football today early on, 20-30 minutes, was excellent as well. Tottenham, excellent. Very unlucky only for Fraser Foster with Dessers, probably would have went on and won that game. Terrific result. So if the Rangers fans can see it, then fine. You've got to accept that. But I still think it's a long way back for a manager. I think that we'll all agree. The only thing that goes against him for me is quite simply, I don't think he handles the press that great after the games. I'd like to see him change that. And I think if he changed that, I think there'd be a lot more Rangers fans come round to
There's a few more problems in that though than the press. The points difference is the biggest problem. He can't win away games. That's a big problem. I agree with you. His press conferences leaves us all with questions sometimes, but a big problem is there progress? Where is the progress?
No, as we said, from within the season, I think there is.
Within the season, maybe, but because they've had a few standout games. And by the way, the Tottenham game, they were magnificent. Against Celtic, they were magnificent. But at Rangers, 2 magnificent games or 3 a season just is not good enough.
Some interesting comments from Brendan Rodgers today after that win against St Mirren. Looking forward to hearing them. We'll do it next.
After they play, You have your say. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's Open Line.
We are into the final part. We've been here since 11:40am. It's been a bumper day, and it's not quite over yet, so you've got time to give us a call. Interesting stuff from Brendan Rodgers after the game. The game itself was very straightforward. That's to Celtic's credit. They beat St Mirren 3-0. A professional job done. But some interesting comments afterwards. So he's had something to say about the fans inside Celtic Park. He's been speaking about Kieran Tierney as well. Let's hear the Celtic manager.
When it was 0-0 for the first 20 minutes, we make a backward pass and the crowd get onto the team. Now that cannot happen. One, if you know about football, and two, if you can understand that when teams come here, they're going to make it really difficult. You know, you can't turn up every single week and be 3-4-0 up in 20 minutes. Teams are well organised, teams are well set up. You have to work the game. So sometimes you have to play a backward pass to change the point of attack. We make a backward pass and then we get onto the players. And that's why I was proud of the players. This is a point, I don't need the cheers when it's 3-0 and the support when it's 3-4-0 and 5-0. This team needs it. It's just the amount of games that they're playing and how we play. You only need to look at the facts and how this team plays to know they're an attacking team, a creative team that creates goals and scores goals. So when we decide to go back to change the point of attack, clap the players. Don't panic. Don't start getting onto them, you know, because we're trying to get another attack. So for us, we play a backward pass, sideward pass is to change the point of attack, right? And the players deserve more. The players deserve the trust. And that was my annoyance today, because 2-0, 3-0 is great, but we need the support when it's 0-0, especially amidst a run of games where there's so many games, you know, where you might be a fraction just fatigued, but we don't mention that. We want to attack. Look at our numbers. Look at our stats. Just trust the team, trust the manager. If you don't, just trust the team, trust how they play. We've seen it consistently now. It's not like a year or so ago or just over a year ago, where it was a little bit slow and a little bit, you know, and players are getting used to it. The consistency of the team has been incredible. The level of the team has been such a high level. But support it, and then you'll get even more out of the team.
Interesting.
Very.
And he sounds genuinely moved by what happened. That's not just talking it up for the benefit of the press. I understand his point that the team needs your backing from the word go until the game is over. Perhaps it's the reaction to the Rangers game. They've gone into Celtic Park today and they have gone there initially hurting from Thursday afternoon and the Rangers game. By the time they arrived there, they're happy again because Rangers have dropped 2 points at Easter Road. And then Celtic don't start quickly enough for them and they've got a bit irked. So now you have the classic duel between a manager who has Brendan has pointed out, he understands the game, and supporters who understand rivalry, bragging rights. They're going to work tomorrow. The festive season's over. They're going to give their Rangers pals what for when they get to work tomorrow. So it's the classic emotional battle between a manager who understands what his players are doing and the crowd who want them to do it but quicker.
I don't think manager wishing the fans would be a bit more positive is anything dramatic, Mark, but to say it so clearly and so, what's the word, angrily probably,
yeah,
as Brendan Rodgers did.
You know what, I like it because it shows real leadership, because
he could easily have not done it.
He could have easily have just shied away from that and kept it in-house. And I've been in plenty of dressing rooms, by the way, in Celtic dressing rooms at that the managers had a pop at the fans within the dressing room, but we've kept it within four walls. So it clearly annoyed him enough to go out and say it, because he's trying to build something, and he's right to reference the numbers, especially at home at Celtic Park, that Celtic have notched up this season in terms of goals and trusting the process and getting our rewards in the end. And he just doesn't want people to be that reactive within the first 15, 20 minutes.
That said, do you run the risk of fans saying, well, hold on a minute, we pay our money, we'll do what we want, entertain us, and then not more than that, it sets you up for the next time, because see, the next time it genuinely is a bit lethargic and it is a bit slow. they won't waste an opportunity in saying, oh, come on then.
I think he'd be brave enough to come out and say the fans were right to say it. But if he doesn't say that today, who does? Because players can't. Players will not take the mic and slaughter the fans, but he can.
I think both can be correct at the same time. I think he's right to use his professional expertise and say, look, you don't panic, we're trying to work the game around to our way. And at the same time, I could understand if a supporter said, you've got £75 million in the bank because I buy your shirt and I buy your season ticket and I buy everything the club bring out, and I pay my money and I go there, and part of my football match day experience is, if I don't like what I'm looking at, I let my feelings be known.
I think he's bang on the money. I really do. Look, I think he's leaving himself open to say, and he says it, trusting the players and trusting the manager, right? So if you're a Celtic supporter and look at the success Brendan Rodgers has brought Celtic, look at the players that he's got in there, he's right in what he says. Teams aren't just going to go there, lie down and let Celtic score 3 in the first 20 minutes. He's bang on.
We're running out of time, but I want to play this as well, because the Celtic fans were singing Kieran Tierney's name, clearly in relation to the apparent imminent move, and this is what Brendan Rodgers had to say about that.
Total lack of respect. Of course it is. Get Greg Taylor. He's been absolutely amazing at this club. How does he feel? He's playing, nearly breaks his nose, bleeding for the club, for the cause. I'm more worried about the players that are here. It's not very respectful. You sing for another player, no matter what Kieran's history is. I don't like that. I hear the stuff around maybe Champions League, but to be fair, add hundreds of Celtic players that haven't been good enough in Champions League, add Greg Taylor or whatever people might do, but there's lots of players. But what I know is this is a man who gives everything for this club, and hopefully we can keep him here, because we're trying to build a strong squad. I put myself in his shoes, playing in left back in the game, and we're singing the name of someone else. That's like me stood on the side and the supporters singing for another manager, especially when you're doing so much for the club and have given so much for the club. It's a little frustrating.
What a day he's having. But he's quite right there. Greg Taylor was in the newspapers this morning saying that he wants to stay at Celtic. The contract has not been extended yet, they're still in talks, but he wants to stay. And I think Brendan highlights the most important fact here. He's a Celtic player, and you are disrespecting him by chanting the name of an Arsenal player.
Right, quickly, do you agree with that?
I do.
Yeah, yes, to a certain extent, but the Celtic fans love Kieran Tierney. He will strengthen the squad.
Celtic fans might say that they'd be happy to have them
both of them. That's my point.
So is it disrespectful?
Look, I can get his point. Strong leadership though from the manager.
Yeah, I like what Brendan Rodgers has done today. He's come out and really showed his chance. Yes,
he's taken his chance to get some opinions across there. Sum up today's action, Hugh.
Well, I did think the big story of the day was the 3-3 draw between Hibs and Rangers at Easter Road, but I'm now beginning to think the back page headlines will be dominated by what Brendan Rodgers has had to say, while scolding the Celtic fans on two fronts. What is undeniable, what is unarguable, is that Celtic have gone 13 points clear of Rangers. Goal difference makes it as good as 14 points, and they are the league champions.
And there we are. Thank you, Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson and Gordon DL. But thank you, as always. The biggest thank you goes to you for staying with us from 11:40am right through until 6 o'clock. We're looking forward to reflecting on that tomorrow, because we are out of time. Brendan Rodgers very angry there. We'll look back on it tomorrow. We'll look back on Rangers dropping yet more away points. So many big stories in Scottish football today, and you can hear more at 6 o'clock tomorrow. The UK Chart Show with Sam Thompson's up next.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lookers Group. The Lookers Big Event. Thousands of great value used vehicles ready to drive away.